Get on with it.
Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality of here, and welcome to Live and Wired, episode 24. Don't you have phones? Joining, as always, is that long-haired, creepy guy.
Yo.
And joining us most of the time.
Most of the time, yes.
Patricia Miranda.
Hey, everybody, how's it going?
Which means the episode is saved.
I hope so.
We were really concerned, but she's here. She's here.
Yes, I'm here.
Ooh, so, yeah. I got a nice amount of people. It's like ticking up. See, there's like 17 waiting, now 28 watching, now 44 watching, now 52 watching. It's going up. Yeah. I have no idea what's going on, but we got a lot in the chat. Dayan Ink Hayton says, Chibi Thulu!
Yes, hello, Chibi Thulu. And Kindle's also here with us as well.
They're being very quiet and well behaved.
Oh,
I think I saw Teddy Rupskin in the chat a bit ago. I don't know if he stuck around.
Hello, Teddy.
But I saw Teddy Rupskin and he's like, Decker, and I was like, going live in a minute, so I'm not talking right now.
Jake Shuset?
Jake Jake Shutzit, glad to see your Scooby-Doo video.
Yes. And thank you.
Thank you.
Wolf Pro One says, nice shirt. Thank you. It's not as nice as my mug, though. This is a Live and Wired mug. That merch right there. People tell me, hey, no one buys mugs. Everyone wants shirts. I want a mug. I like mugs.
Mugs are very useful.
That's because
you cannot hold a nice hot drink with your shirt because...
well, you can, but...
You cannot drink from it.
Well, if you...
That's not very appealing to see. Unless you're desperate.
Okay. So...
I can imagine Decker is that desperate. I don't have a mug. What can I do? Takes his shirt off, pours coffee on it, and then just suck coffee out of his shirt. I'm not gonna
drink out of the pitcher. What am I, an animal? No.
No, you don't.
Anywho. Oh, we got a lot of news. A lot of news going on. And there's a lot of stuff going on that's crazy. And some of that crazy stuff just so happens to be the reason I named the show the way it is, as that usually is. A lot of the episodes are just last-minute decisions, except for things like, I'm an idiot. That we planned for a while.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, so Diablo was mentioned over in Blizzcon, and there were two bits of information that we did learn about. The fact that we're going to be getting an iPhone game called Diablo Immortal, and
iPhone and Android.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, yes, that's true, and Android, not to be, leaving out the Android users. So, yeah.
Oh God. Sorry, but Annabelle Lee commented, I have a mug that says, I dream of a world where chicken can cross the road without having its motives questioned.
That's actually really good. My friend Kevin gave me a Hey Arnold mug last Christmas saying, haters gonna hate, so I got that.
So, yes, the BlizzCon, everyone knew that there was going to be a Diablo announcement going in. Blizzard had previously said that they, in a tweet or something, weeks or months ago, I'm not sure which, that yes, they are working on the Diablo 4, but it's not going to be at BlizzCon.
Yeah, they pulled it off from BlizzCon for some reason.
Well, from what I was looking at, the article that you linked saying that they were going to show Diablo 4, a very quick tease, and then they pulled it at the last minute. Blizzard had actually offered a correction to Kotaku saying that they never planned it in the first place. But that was at the bottom of the article.
Yeah. It's yet to be confirmed about the status of Diablo 4, whether it was even going to be shown this year or not. But nonetheless, to hold for the time, we are getting an iPhone version of Diablo. So In the meantime, if you have the article, Decker, would you mind pulling it up?
All right, 123784444 games dropped $2 saying a live stream while at dinner. The sandwich returns.
Yes, if you ever heard of dinner and a movie, well, this is sandwich and a stream.
That works.
Yes.
Let's see. Now, where is the... I got it. There we are. Yes, open. Yes, I know how to do... I am so good at this job.
Yes, Jacob Kennedy, I remember rock and roll very much. Chibithulu would like to forget it.
Oh, God,
Yes.
I almost clicked the stop broadcast button. I'm great at my job.
I do my job.
Why do we let him do things? Like, why do
We need to make him feel important, creepy.
Well, this is just lovely. Thank you. Anyway, where's the button? I know what I'm doing. Okay, so Blizzard reveals Diablo Immortal. During BlizzCon, the company revealed that a new Diablo title was on the way, but maybe not the one fans were expecting. Diablo Immortal is a mobile game that serves as a prequel to Diablo 3, taking place 20 years before the events of that game, which I always call that Diablo 2, but Diablo Immortal follows on the heels of Diablo 3's release to Switch, another sign that Blizzard has an interest in bearing down on mobile devices for its property. You have any idea why the Switch is a popular mobile device? You'd notice. Okay, anyway, I'll save that rant until after the article's done. Okay, the game is being developed by Chinese developer NetEase Games, with Blizzard adding input. Immortal will allow you to play 6 classes: Wizard, Necromancer, Witch Hunter, Barbarian, Crusader, and Monk. Blizzard hasn't revealed a price point, monetization plans, or a release date yet, but hopefully we'll know more soon. Other than how not entirely on board a lot of the fans are on it.
I mean, to be fair, before this whole article about it, I mean, there was just only speculations on it. So maybe, with all the speculations and the rumors going around, maybe there was the chance that maybe they were going to do maybe an announcement, maybe some concept art. But then they decided, let's just pull it back in case something else happens.
123784444 games dropped $2 more saying, Decker, if you stop streaming, you got 2 minutes to restart. That's good to know. So there's a little insurance policy in there in case I really fuck this up. But HRB123 says, if they make another game, why make it mobile? And that's kind of the thing when I saw the whole announcement with Diablo Immortal. It really, really comes off as a game that was born in a boardroom. Like, it's not someone saying, hey, I got a great idea for a story, exploring some interesting new things, or hey, let's try a new style of this that could really work with the other stuff and mix things up with this new power. It's like, hey, what's popular? You got that Diablo. Hey, isn't mobile devices like everywhere? Yeah, they're making money. Yeah, put the Diablo on the mobile. Making tons of cash.
So basically this is Diablo 3 set during the time period of Diablo 2, and you don't have to pay. There's no witch doctor class, and you don't have to pay for the necromancer class.
Machakora dropped £10 super chat saying, Decker, will you review the dozen or so Seagal movies you missed during his summer? I'm terrified. I am terrified. There's a lot more than a dozen or so. Also, he's been in a lot of things.
Yes, not to mention the TV series, and also the real-life encounters of him being the ambassador between the U.S. and Russia.
Yeah, but okay. Anyway, dang it. Christopher Nicolau says it was a much more darker game when it started out, which is true, and I think there's several reasons for that. I think the whole part of how scary Diablo was in Diablo 1 and 2 versus Diablo 3 had to do with the fact that Diablo 1 and 2 were much more gothic horror kind of art design, where Diablo 3 was... I mean, you couldn't really be the most realistic with Diablo in 1 and 2 because the resolution was so low, but they were kind of trying for that, but they had to make things larger just to make it so you could see detail in them, like the Necromancer's shoulder pads, for instance, being the size of a beach ball.
Right.
But other than that, they did try for realism on a lot of it, and Diablo 3, it really came off more World of Warcraft-y, kind of, we're going for a more cartoony horror. But some of the Warcraft 3, not some of the Diablo 3, some of the Diablo 3 cinematics, on the other hand, have some really high quality, really well done, good looking kind of monsters and shit. But when it comes to the actual gameplay, Diablo 3 is really easy. It's really very forgiving. Even if you do die, you press the X button and you're back to exactly where you were. You're under plus some durability. Oh well. White girl, black wash to feel white guilt, drop 5 pounds, saying, Decker, will you please review the Men in Black series? That is an idea. That's kind of sci-fi action comedy.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Not too sci-fi, but it does have some legit sci-fi in there, not just space fantasy kind of stuff. They're not just, hey, we have aliens, that makes it science fiction. No, they have some actual explorations of scientific ideas, which is what you need for a good sci-fi, and it's in the Men in Black series, strangely enough.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I do remember when I did a Ghostbusters podcast a few years ago that one of the co-hosts said that Men in Black was essentially the Ghostbusters of the 90s. You know, just instead of busting ghosts, they were catching aliens. So,
Right.
and you know, a lot of people do have fond memories of the Men in Black animated series, at least the first season. So, yeah, I can see Decker tackling both the trilogy and the series, especially since we did talk about that there's going to be a spin-off series a while back in Live and Wired.
Right.
But it's like the title of this particular episode, Don't You Have Phones, is, of course, a very obvious direct reference in case you've already heard the quote from Blizzard when, after they announced Diablo Immortal, to the room full of people who are big fans of Diablo, big fans of Blizzard, primarily PC gamers, and said, hey, this is going to be on phones. And they had the Q&A section, and there's the guy in the front saying, is there any plans at all that this could maybe come to the PC in the future? And they were like, it's currently on iOS and Android. And everyone starts booing, and Blizzard just kind of, the representatives there, they're like, don't you have phones?
Yeah, I know. That's... it could have been worse. It could have been much worse. The game
I'm just thinking, though, how it could have been worse. Blizzard just hears the booing, and they're like, oh, fuck you, too!
You never know. You never know. They could have probably just said, oh, well, it's better than nothing.
Oh, yeah. Kat Luniska says, my fave was like, is this a late April Fool's joke? Yeah, that was another comment. Interesting, like there's been a sort of mixed crossed wires in the terms of Blizzard's reaction to it versus general like IGN and GameSpot, all theirs reaction. Matrakokra dropped 5 pounds, saying, "Great to see how your channel has grown. Been following you guys since you had like below 500 subscribers. That is a long time ago. Long time."
Also, 123784444 games dropped $2 and said, Blizzard did everything weird and tried, I think.
Blizzard hasn't really. I mean, there's been a reaction to players being like, "I don't like this." That has been, well, you're just an entitled dickhead then. And Blizzard has not actually had that reaction from all of that I have been able to dig up. Blizzard has not come out and said that, but so many official like gaming journalist types have gone on long Twitter tirades saying, well, you see, the reason that you don't like the idea of Diablo on mobile doesn't have to do with the fact that Diablo is a traditionally intense kind of gaming thing with a lot of different aspects going on and things that you got to do real quickly, and you need to have skill and know how to build your characters. It's not that, and that it's really fucking hard to do that on a phone, and you have other things to do with your phone other than play games on it. That has nothing to do with it. The fact is you're a misogynist.
Ooh.
Because mobile gaming is traditionally enjoyed more by a female audience. So the fact that you don't want a mobile Diablo game means that you hate women. This very out there theory. I can't say for certain that it doesn't apply to anyone's reasoning, but I'm pretty sure it's not really speaking for the vast majority.
Not really. This is just like the whole announcement of the Red Dead Redemption 2 stream in which you have people punching suffrages and feminists.
I think it is funny. I saw some people bringing that up and talking about how, this is so cucked of Rockstar. They're presenting the suffragette entirely in a sense that is sympathetic. They don't play it for laughs like they do with literally everyone else. And I watched a clip where the guy goes up to her and she's screaming and yelling and she's talking about her points, and she's saying such things that are, out there, and it's like they're obviously taking the piss out of this. Like, oh, we're going to elect the female president in the first 10 years and there will be no more wars. And it's like, they are obviously taking the piss out of this. They are playing it for laughs, like they do everything. I don't know.
It's crazy, but bottom line with the whole BlizzCon event and the whole announcement of Immortal, I mean, I understand a lot of people are really upset that we didn't get a Diablo 4 and the next game is going to be on mobile devices. It's just like Breath of Life fans, in which they found out that the next Breath of Life game was going to be on mobile devices and everybody got angry. Same thing with the Final Fantasy games, in which they're going to focus on mobile devices. Everybody got angry. So I guess that with my iPhone devices and Androids getting a lot of flack, it's not too surprising. This happened before.
I think thing is, like, mobile has been said to be something that's, going to eat away at the gaming market because it's so convenient. It's right there. They're powerful. Everyone has them. And we also got another super chat, $5 from White Girl, £5 from White Girl Blackwash Appeal White Guilt, saying, your Prometheus review is my second favorite review of yours because it's from 6 years ago and it's very nostalgic. And oh god, when it gets that old, I start cringing watching my own videos because I'm like, oh god, I am so awkward. My screen presence is so nervous and I just don't know what I'm doing. And I'm just, every time it's a tiny thing, I'm thinking I could have edited that better. I could have said that better. It's just, it digs into me. 123784444 games drops $2 saying Paul the War ends. Decker will shave his hair. If it would bring world peace, I like my hair, but End of War would definitely be worth it. I have to say, even if I have to come up with a new slogan, it would be worth it for world peace.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
in terms of
yes, I can think of it right now. Hello, I'm Decker Shado, the internet personality with the shiniest head.
oh yes, Silver the Cold Steel dropped $10 saying, "Yo, my boy, BlizzCon was a disaster. Also, loved your summer of Halloween, and thank you. It barely managed to get done before the end of Halloween, so it wasn't exactly summer again. But yeah, the whole thing. A lot of people thought a lot of industry analysts figured that the Switch wasn't going to do good because why have this when you could just have a phone? And it's like, there's just these controls. They are very important. Also, something that is designed specifically to play games and do like nothing else. It got like 2 days ago, we got YouTube on this. 2 days ago. It's been how long? And they just put YouTube on it. Also, you can't play YouTube on this and actually play another game at the same time.
Real quick, Metro dropped $10 and said, my favorites are the Xenomorph Anatomy and Kills videos. Wolf Pro 1 dropped $5 and said, Decker, have you played the first Red Dead Redemption?
No, I was one of the 80s that was waiting for it to come out on PC. It just never happened. Ken maybe is
Live and Wired,
asking.
episode 25. I can think of it now. Live and Wired, episode 25. Where's my Red Dead Redemption PC port?
Ken maybe says, "Why have a Switch when you can have a PSP?" And well, for the first PlayStation Portable, or like PSP versus PS Vita, first PlayStation Portable, they were fragile. Man, they were fragile. PlayStation Vita, they were good, expensive but good. And then Sony stopped really supporting it too much, which is weird. It's like it was a big push for a little bit, and then it looked like the 3DS was going to overtake it. And I mean, when the 3DS launched, it was at the same price point as the Vita, and the Vita was a much better little portable system. But then there's a price drop on the 3DS, and then the sales pick up, and Pokemon drops, the sales pick up, and then after that, it's like Sony just gave up with the PS Vita. It was still there. It was being supported by all the third parties, but Sony was like, yeah, it exists, I guess.
Yeah, I think they just needed more first-party support.
Commander 8750 says PSP was better because Vita didn't have much support. And yeah, the PSP sold a pretty decent amount, like about as much as the 3DS sold, I think. At least, at some point. And it's like, how many million? I don't know. I'm just... Anyway. So yeah, there's a lot.
We do have a lot of news to cover. And since we're in the topic of video games, let's talk about a particular video game that has gotten a bit of a long development. Final Fantasy 15. At first, it was announced as Final Fantasy Versus 13, and then it went through a long development. And then eventually it was released, I think, maybe last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago, but I think it was last year. So,
Sarah, what are you doing?
I think she's going to play Final Fantasy 15. Anyway, so, yeah, unfortunately, the sad news about Final Fantasy 15 is that they were making DLC for the game, but the DLC has been canceled. The director of Final Fantasy 15 left the company, and Square Enix announced a $33 million loss.
Yay!
So, I mean, sure, Blizzard may have had a rough convention, but at least they're not going through a $33 million loss. And at least they're not canceling their DLC. And at least they didn't have one of their main directors up and walk away. The only thing that we can say is that, man, they have a mobile game. So, yeah, sorry for all you Final Fantasy 15 fans, but you're not...
they did make a Final Fantasy 15 mobile game, and that's the one that went to Switch. Yay.
That's good. Sure.
On the one hand, I'm like, you know what? If you do optimize really well, and I do expect graphical downgrades, you can get a Switch version of Final Fantasy 15 that looks a lot better than that. However, at the same time, they lost $33 million, so I'm pretty sure they're not willing to dump a bunch of money on heavy optimization to do a big high-end port to the Switch. 123784444 game says DSL was good, but was good, but Game Boy Advance Color. What? Game Boy Advance's color. Wait, Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color? With Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance SP. I don't know what's going on anymore.
I think he's confused.
So yeah, they lost $33 million. They canceled most of the DLC, and I'm thinking, wouldn't you want to release the DLC to make back some of that $33 million? I don't know.
I have no idea, but I think that they're going to have to rely on Kingdom Hearts 3 in order for them to make at least a little bit of money back.
Well, I know there's plenty of people out there who are really, really wanting to throw all the money they have at Kingdom Hearts 3. So put it on mobile devices.
That does seem to be the general consensus, is that that Square Enix is basically banking on Kingdom Hearts to pull their fat out of the fryer.
Commander 83750 says it's called a Game Boy Advanced Color after Game Boy Color. Is that in a different region or something? Because as far as I know, it went Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Light was exclusive to Japan. It actually was a backlit Game Boy that was black and white. Then Game Boy Color, which again wasn't backlit. Then Game Boy Advance, and then Game Boy Advance SP, which was backlit. And then the DS. But there was no Advanced Color. That was Game Boy, Game Boy Light, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance, SP, DS. I'm going crazy. 1237844 games drops $5 saying Game Boy Advance Color was its own thing, or I was lied to by GameStop employees who wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
Maybe there was a Game Boy Advance black and white.
Patrick Johnson saying, "Why would there be a Game Boy Advance Color? It was already in color."
Game Boy Advance sepia tone. Game Boy Advance Virtual Boy Edition.
Virtual Boy Advance. I want that now. I want a virtual.
Isn't that all Game Boy Advances that you would want it?
I love my PlayStation VR, but that's just me.
Okay.
I don't need to go on another VR tirade.
Sure.
We had last episode for that. Let's just bitch and moan about phones this time.
All right. Yeah.
By the way, phone VR is fucking terrible. It is. John Ratzi is saying Game Boy Advance HD Blacklight Edition. White Girl Blackwash the Field White Girl dropped £2 saying PSX never came to the USA because it was $1,200.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, PSX, which one was that? I'm pretty sure I remember, like, during the PlayStation 1 era, for some reason everyone abbreviated PlayStation to PSX because everything needed a 3-letter abbreviation. You had the Saturn was SAT, and Nintendo 64 was N64, and for some reason PlayStation was PSX. I don't know why, but
yeah.
I think it was the 90s. You know, everything had to be with an X or Z.
And Michael Wolf says PSX is a Japanese PS2 that is also a DVR. Okay.
Oh.
And Brandon Kilgore is asking, PSX was the original name for the PlayStation when Nintendo owned it? ? And I'm thinking when Nintendo owned it was the Nintendo PlayStation.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was when Sony and Nintendo were working together on a CD add-on for the Super Nintendo, I believe. It was a Super Nintendo PlayStation.
Yeah, the Nintendo PlayStation. That was when they wanted to compete alongside with Sega CD.
And then they realized that Sega CD wasn't winning anyway, so like, okay, fuck it.
Yeah, that's when they decided, Sony, we're not gonna work with you. We're gonna go with this Philips CDI instead. And then they decided, you know what, Philips, you can have hands with our property. We're not gonna deal with the agreement anymore. And then they just pretty much just got swept under the rug until, Legend of Zelda, Wand of Gamelon, and Hotel Mario just became like the source of meme culture.
Yeah, that was the contract between Nintendo and Philips was that they were allowed to make so many games in so many series, and even though Nintendo dropped out of the CDI project, they were still technically contractually bound, and Philips ran with that.
Yeah. Philips, you may be good with your DVDs and your Blu-rays and all that stuff, but you cannot do games. I am so sorry.
And Tara's running around and playing. See that there's a little feather there from one of the toys that she got it right over there, and she's playing with that. She's just enjoying it, running around, playing with that. Jack Brand dropped $5 saying, I highly recommend checking out Island of the Alive. It stars Michael Moriarty, who mumbles to himself and acts creepy for the entire movie. It's great.
Sounds like fun.
I'm not in that. What are they talking about?
Oh god, Patrick Johnson says the PlayStation, the only console brand created purely from spite. Well, Activision was sort of born. There wasn't a console, but it was a company. Activision, I believe, was born from spite. It was the Atari 2600, like actual Atari employees who just really didn't like Atari's rules in regards to whether or not you can get credit for your work.
Yeah, there used to be an issue back then in which, especially in like various American and Japanese games, you can't get credit for your work because then if another company sees your name, then they might try to take you away into their own company. So yeah, there used to be a big issue on that back then.
And so that was the whole thing. The first secret Easter egg thing in a video game with adventure. Everyone knows about that. But also, Activision was, I believe, made up of former Atari employees who broke off and just made their own company so that they could be like, hey, we are us. Here's our people, and we made that.
Yes.
Just to be able to say, I made something, and not just make it and have Atari like, yes, it is ours.
True.
Oh, man. But what was it? Oh, they was talking about the Island of the Alive, and this reminded me of the Thing of the Dead. We should talk about some news.
Yes. Let's talk about some news. So, I did mention this to Decker a while ago that the classic movie Night of the Living Dead, which pretty much just spawned the zombie genre, recently celebrated its 50th anniversary. And there has been some news discussing about that there's going to be a long, unproduced official sequel to Night of the Living Dead involving with the people who were part of the original team of the movie. So even though we've had many other sequels to Night of the Living Dead, such as Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, what was it, like Land of the Dead, and various other movies, and even some unofficial sequels and spin-offs and remakes of Night of the Living Dead and all of its other sequels and such. But no, we're actually getting an official sequel to Night of the Living Dead. So
John Washburn is saying, Patricia, we need to do a GoFundMe to get you a new microphone. And John, it's not that. It's that she is currently on her phone.
Yes, on my phone, because obviously, don't you guys have phones?
Yeah.
Because I'm not home. That's why.
Yeah, things are crazy, but Live and Wired waits for nobody, as we learned. But I've got the article right up here, so I'll give a little read through. And there's also an interesting thing at the bottom that I want to point out. An officially licensed, long unproduced sequel to Night of the Living Dead coming from original team. 50 years later, a sequel is being unearthed. A whole lot has happened in the world of Night of the Living Dead. This year being the landmark film's 50th anniversary and all. And we're learned this week that the Living Dead media is next plotting the return to the original classic in the form of an official sequel. The Living Dead media told us this week, Night of the Living Dead first brought zombies to the silver screen in 1968. The world was unprepared for the film's flesh-starved ghouls, which resulted in groundbreaking and commercial success. It remains one of the most influential and revered horror films of all time and now sits in the Library of Congress and the Museum of Modern Art for its cultural significance. Written by John A. Russo and directed by George A. Romero, Night of the Living Dead created the foundation for the 5 Return of the Living Dead films that gave us Tarman and his famous catchphrase, more brains, popularizing brain-eating zombies and defining the modern dark comedy horror genre in the process. Romero's trilogy of the Dead series also owes its roots for classics. In addition, Night of the Living Dead is not only credited with spawning a generation of zombie films, but all modern horror films. Also, a white girl, black wash field, white guilt dropped 10 pounds, saying there was a version of Sega Dreamcast that had a form of Windows released back in 1998 and had internet connectivity, and it was Microsoft's first time in the console business. And yeah, a lot of Sega of America actually went and got picked up by Microsoft after everything fell through. That history and Night of the Living Dead's place in Mount Rushmore's horror films is known by most horror fans and people all over the world, but unknown to most is that in the 1970s, the original writers and producers of Night of the Living Dead penned a sequel to their masterpiece. A sequel that inexplicably has gone unproduced for over 40 years. Until now. Living Dead Media has brushed away the dirt from this amazing follow-up to a classic and brought it together. A great team to produce the new film. The plan is to release Night of the Living Dead Part 2 in 2019. Details are being closely guarded for now, but we expect more soon. In the meantime, be sure to bookmark the official website. And down here in the comments, Swifty here, 5 days ago, says, there's a need here for a little backstory. John Russo wrote a sequel screenplay back in 1970 or thereabouts called Return of the Living Dead. Romero didn't want to do it, and then, of course, there was a whole brouhaha with who actually owned the rights to do a sequel. Apparently, everyone in the original Image 10 owned sequel rights. Therefore, Romero was free to eventually make Dawn of the Dead. Russo was free to pursue Return of the Living Dead, and Bill Hinsman, aka the original Cemetery Ghoul from Night of the Living Dead, decided to do his own sequel, which wound up being the pretty awful Flesh Eater. Meanwhile, Russo had published the book version of his screenplay, Return of the Living Dead, in 1977, which, if you've ever read it, would know it turned out pretty terrible. However, he successfully managed to sell the film rights to a producer named Tim Fox, who just wanted the title and the connection to Night of the Living Dead. That wound up being Return of the Living Dead, which Russo got to novelize as a consultation prize for having his original story and screenplay thrown out. Sadly, this was not the end, as Russo would first get his greedy hands on Night of the Living Dead itself for the rightfully maligned 30th Anniversary Edition, which now had new scenes shot specifically to set up a retitled version of his original Return of the Living Dead script called Children of the Living Dead. Unfortunately, he was thrown out as both writer and director of the project, but somehow remained on as producer, and the resulting Children of the Living Dead, once again, had nothing to do with his original Return of the Living Dead manuscript. That's not the script this article is discussing, however. You see, Carl Hardman and Marilyn Eastman, aka the bickering couple from Night of the Living Dead, and also de facto surviving owners of Image 10, also have sequel rights to Night of the Living Dead, and as it so happens, they've been sitting on an even shittier sequel script they've been trying to get made all this time. Considering that Flesh Eater and Children of the Living Dead both managed to get financing in the last 50 years, not to mention the scores of ripoffs, remakes, and reimaginings that also got made and distributed, you should seriously ask yourselves why this one remained unmade and pretty much unheard of until now. Trust me, it's mind-bogglingly awful. Worse than Children of the Living Dead? Much, much worse. Even that 3D thing with Sid Haig was better.
Well, thank you, Swifty.
Yes. Swifty had quite a bit of information there.
Yes.
Maybe out of his ass, he's talking about opinions and all, but definitely worth a read, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah, that should be really interesting. Even though that technically, with the sequel to Night of the Living Dead was Dawn of the Dead, so we have a sequel to Night of the Living Dead that actually continues it. So, I mean, what is it going to be? Is it going to be awful? Is it going to be halfway decent? I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm just wondering about how they're going to be able to give a proper follow-up that makes at least somebody happy.
Kat Lunisk is asking who doesn't have sequel rights, and I'm wondering, I was about to say I don't, now I'm thinking like, wait, maybe I do actually.
Maybe we all do. Oh, one other thing. Apparently, and this is like, George Romero died. Sorry, not John. George Romero died last year. Apparently, or just recently, in fact, his wife announced that he had left behind a whole bunch of completed scripts penned by him, like almost 50 of them, that had not been produced, and she is now trying to get some of those projects off the ground.
Jesus Christ, he's going to be the Tupac of horror.
It's not surprising because even long after Ed Wood passed away, there were even a few movies based off of scripts that they found, and they decided, hey, just let's make a movie out of them. So it's possible that, if somebody were to find a script written by an acclaimed horror icon, then hey, let's get the opportunity to make some money.
Mm-hmm.
So probably gonna be a lot more easier than opposed to like when Bram Stoker's widow was basically saying, nope, I'm gonna sue you if you release Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because now Dracula is in the public domain. or at least he was at one point. I do know that the Buffy the season 5 premiere of Buffy the Vampire Slayer was Buffy versus Dracula, and they were able to do that episode because Dracula was public domain at that point.
Yeah, and Night of the Living Dead, the original Night of the Living Dead, is public domain, so technically couldn't anyone make a sequel? Just saying, man.
Yeah, it's true, because there have been a lot of unofficial sequels and remakes and spin-offs of Night of the Living Dead because it's a public domain movie. So they have been able to get away with it, but now we're having an official sequel to Night of the Living Dead, which, I don't know about if maybe because of this, maybe they're going to redistribute the rights. I'm not sure.
Demon Orcord says, creepy, make a sequel. And Randall Flagg, I guess, is pitching an idea. Cheesecake of the Living Dead.
I was actually thinking about cheesecake earlier today.
I mean, if maybe we can have like zombies mixed with the stuff and cheesecake. Yeah, it's like cheesecake, a bigger threat than just your thighs. It'll not make you.
Oh man, someone is suggesting, Decker, that we make a sequel to Night of the Living Dead.
Oh boy.
Creepy and Decker's Afternoon of the Living Dead.
Oh, we got 2 super chats. 123784444 games drops $2 saying, "That's it, I'm using my rights over. Stop the movie." And My Urban Exploration dropped $5 Australian dollars, I think, or $5. Is AUS is Australian. It just says $5. Okay. If you like to see a creepy movie, The Snowtown Murders. It's freaky as hell because the movie is based in real events in my home city of Adelaide, Australia.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
I guess that is Australian. Usually it's like AUS for Australian dollars, isn't it? Now it's just A.
It's YouTube. They don't have to be consistent, Decker.
I'm just as shook as back when Mountain Dew changed it from Mountain to MTN.
Why are you confusing me?
I used to know how to spell mountain. Now I don't.
Imagine some poor kid spelling bee. Spell mountain. MTN. That's what it says on the can. Speaking of Night of the Living Dead, I asked Decker this earlier, but Patricia, I know we have a lot to cover tonight, but I would like to request a few minutes to go on a personal tirade about something, if it's all right.
You go ahead, by all means.
Okay. So there's this new show on Netflix. It came out, I believe, Halloween night, called Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. It is a reinterpretation of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, from the Archie comics series, only instead of a lighthearted comedy, it is a supernatural horror drama.
Oh boy.
And it is just okay. I'm just gonna have to. Okay, warning, spoilers ahead. I'm gonna have to spoil this just to get my point across. I apologize to anyone listening who has not seen it and plan to mute your microphones until you see my hands. Stop doing that.
Why would muting their microphones? Never mind.
I said microphones. Mute your speakers. Stop doing this. Thank you. Yeah. So, Sabrina and her aunts are Satanists. Like, they actually worship Satan.
I'm just thinking, a really, really too much time on their hands, busybody, that never actually used any of that time on their hands to actually watch the show, trying to run around and stop people. They actually write about something now. Oh my god.
Yeah, like, no, Sabrina, the chilling adventures of Sabrina and her aunts are Satanists. And it's not just them. Like, there's this whole church of the night full of witches who worship Satan. And, like, I mean, this is probably one of the biggest beefs that I have with this show, because, okay, set aside my own personal views about, you know, witches and neo-paganism and the fact that this is a really stupid stereotype at this point. I mean, just, you know, this is the kind of writing that an 8th grader, this is the kind of horror that an 8th grader would write. You know, that we're going to make it dark and edgy and scary. I know Sabrina and her family are Satanists. They worship the devil and they like sacrifice a goat, and some others, they actually did that, by the way, in the first.
Even actual Satanists don't actually worship Satan.
Yeah, no, but they like refer to him as the Dark Lord, and they even say praise Satan several times. You know, it's like whenever something happens and they're relieved, they roll their eyes and go praise Satan, and I'm just like, well, okay, one, every time they say that, it sounds forced. 2, that's really stupid. Please stop doing that, even though I know they won't. And 3, aren't you rolling your eyes in the wrong direction? I mean, just strictly speaking here.
Gee, I remember when I was in school in like 8th grade or so, they were saying like, you Satanists pray like that, pointing at the Dark Lord.
Now you see, moving your hands in that position, that just looks uncomfortable.
It is very uncomfortable. Ow.
Yeah, and like, but yeah, like, you know, this is just it's. I was watching the first episode, and because it's a Netflix series, they're not constrained by, you know, time block limitations. It's over an hour. And halfway through it, I'm like, I'm bored. I don't think my horror show should be boring me. You know? It's like there's this whole point where she's supposed to sign her name in blood in this book that will like swear her soul to Satan, but in return she gets power and will, you know, stop aging and so forth. And there's like this whole
what happens if you mess up your signature there? I mean, if you're trying to sign in blood and like it's going to keep you young forever, and you're going to have it's a lot of responsibility on top of it. But you're like nervous and your hands shaking and you fuck up your signature. What do? You get
they don't explain that, no. And like, yeah, but they have this whole thing like it's this dark baptism that she's supposed to go through when she's 16. Another thing, one thing that really confused me is like Satan is I haven't gotten all the way through the series, so I could be wrong about this, but Satan, they even have apparently the devil as like the goat-headed, cloven-footed, you know, figure. And there's this point where Satan is like just in a woman's house, you know, he's just there all of a sudden. That's just the thing that's happening. But then later on he possesses.
Fuck you, I'm the devil, I can do what I want.
Right. But then he possesses the Sabrina's high school principal, and I'm like, why did you do that? There was no reason for you to do that. You're already on Earth. You know, you could have just walked to her house and confronted her there. What was the point of, you know, of taking control of a principal? You know, like this does not
Jack Brand dropped $5 saying, "Let's drop this nonsense. We all know that Freddy Got Fingered is the greatest horror movie of all time." And Perrin Shoebridge dropped $2 saying, "I really hope this is episode 8. Okay.
Yeah, but like, somebody, Patrick Johnson said, this really does just sound to me like some edgy 14-year-old's crappy edgy fanfic. It watches like that. It really does. Like, and another problem I have, and here I go again, but nobody on this show talks like an actual person. You know,
Brandon Kilgore says Sabrina was a teen.
Witches and warlocks.
Sorry, Patricia?
I said, of course they don't talk like normal people. They're witches.
Well,
Cool.
even the mortal human characters don't sound like a person. Like, they sound like people who are reading cue cards that are being held up high just off camera. You know, all of the dialogue, you know, like how we...
But Brandon Kilgore says Sabrina was a teenage witch like 15 years ago, and I'm just thinking, like, it's Sabrina, the middle-aged witch.
Yeah, if they brought back Melissa Joan Hart, then yes.
Yeah.
And Dayan Inky Hayton dropped $5 saying John Constantine needs to kick in the door at Netflix and kick ass.
Yes. All hail Satan.
Charlie McFarland's like, so if they worship Satan, do they also play D&D?
I have not seen that yet. I have not seen that happen yet, but I am on the watch for that. But like, yeah, like all of the dialogue feels very forced and unnatural. You know how we've talked about shows like Buffy that had, you know, where the dialogue is really sharp, really witty. This is the opposite of that. And like they have all these things like where Sabrina is part of a girls group at her her mortal high school, where she and other girls have banded together to try and bring down the patriarchy. I have some problems with this, not because it's there, but the way that it is there. Because remember what I said about the dialogue? The plot is like that too. Like, it's not so much that this is mixed in and layered and nuanced where makes a really good allegory. This is just throwing topical events, you know, that are hot in the media right now against a wall and seeing what sticks. Like, problems don't really get resolved.
Lou Basilio says the Satanist cunts click. Oh, jeez.
It's like, okay, for example, like the last episode I saw, they formed like this book club that is where they all read books that have been banned at their high school. And like, this is treated like
what are you reading? Mein Kampf?
Right. So it's like a dead serious thing. But at the same time, it's like, okay, remember how I said that the horror aspect is boring? This was the most interesting part of it. Watching the characters read books. That was the most interesting part of the whole episode's story. And I'm like, when your supernatural horror show, you know, like if the mundane aspects are the most interesting parts, something's gone wrong. This in and of itself isn't bad, but this isn't a supernatural horror drama. I feel like the supernatural horror drama should not be boring me.
Karen Shoebridge says Satanists are actually suing Netflix because of the show. And Epic Jason X9000 says it's like hiring Zack Snyder to make Sailor Moon. Oh god, I remember the Sailor Moon, American Sailor Moon bits.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, the American Sailor Moon, where they had like a diverse cast. And
yeah, I was showing that to my fiance. I found it and I was showing it to her, and it had like Sailor Mercury in the wheelchair, and she's there like, why?
Yeah.
Why? As I was like, I just, you know, when it's a new imagining something, I always imagine them kind of bringing in the old cast and changing them up into the new cast. It's like they bring in Sailor Mars and like paint her up a bit. It's like, there you go.
Yeah, basically Sailor Moon, and you know, it was kind of like really blonde hair, blue eyed. Sailor Mars was the Asian. Sailor Jupiter was the African American.
And then bring in Sailor Mercury and just club her in the knees, give her a chair.
Sailor Mercury was the girl in the wheelchair.
But it's like Charlie was like, why? Well, you understand? She's in a wheelchair. It's her life.
Read Charlie the actual script, because it is just as bad as the art.
Oh, I need to get the full scripts.
I do have one thing. Patrick Johnson said, magic, Satanism, and crappy dialogue. What is this, My Immortal? And I thought to myself while I was watching this, I feel like I am watching the Netflix version of My Immortal, and not the funny one from YouTube. This is the unironic version of that.
Wait, are you talking about the Evanescence song?
No. Okay, very, very quickly. Back in, I think, 2006, it was, there was a fanfic on fanfiction.net in the Harry Potter section called My Immortal. It still has the reputation to this day of being the worst fanfic ever written. Like, it featured a 7th year Slytherin named Ebony Darkness Dementia Raven Way, who supposedly, at least according to the writer, looks like Amy Lee from Evanescence. And she is a witch, a Satanist, and a goth girl.
I got nothing.
Wait, how witch and Satan? Oh, that's right, with Sabrina, the new one. She also is a witch and Satanist too. It doesn't make any sense. Wait,
I apologize to everyone. I've broken Decker again.
I'm just like, it just clicked in my head now. I mean, I was just like, new thing. I'm like, I don't care too much and such. Like, but I was raised Wiccan. I know my way around the general belief system of witchcrafts. Things are making even less sense. Even less.
Yeah. I'm watching this show and I'm just like, every episode, there's just something new for me to just kind of go, wow. I feel like this is a show that you and I should watch and talk about or something. Just, as I enjoy watching.
Now, let me ask you something creepy. Is this actually based off of the new Sabrina comics, or are they just trying to darken it up to be like Riverdale?
Yes, on both counts, I think. There is a comic book that started out in 2014 called Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is a darker retelling of the Sabrina the Teenage Witch. But I have not read it, so I don't know exactly how much of it is accurate. I do know that it shares the same title, but how much it, connects with the comic is debatable. So, I mean, I want to say that the Satanism is a Netflix show thing. I could be wrong. If someone knows who's listening, correct me. But yeah, it's like this show.
Holloman's like, whoa, go back. Decker was raised by witchcraft.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say by witchcraft. That brings a mental image of like Coven getting together and just like, here creates Decker. And I look around. I'm like, I actually don't really believe in any of this, and walk out the door. And I'm like, well, we fucked up. But it's like it's a weird little history of religion with my family. Is like from 1 to 7 was like with my father, who was heavily Christian. From 7 onward with my mother, who was Wiccan. And then after I was like 26, 27, I was like, you know what? I really don't believe any of this anyway. And I'm just like, okay, fuck it, I'm an atheist. So that's there you go. That's the long and short of it.
Yeah, but I think I'm done. I've hurt Decker's brain enough.
Okay, now we do the wave. Like everyone knows, it's you. Yes, you can listen now.
Yeah. Patricia, you still with us, or are you trying to?
Yeah, I'm still with you. I'm just trying to piece together everything that you just said.
Yeah, like, this show is so bad, and yet I find myself unable to stop watching it. Okay,
it's a real shame too, because I actually thought that the show had promise. A darker Sabrina. I was like, okay, I'm okay with it because we had our lighter Sabrina in the 90s, and a darker version did sound very promising.
Yeah, that was the thing. It's like, take Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but instead of playing it for comedy, play it for supernatural drama. I'm okay with that. That sounds cool. But what they did with it was just so adolescent and juvenile and stupid. I'm just like, oh man, this is bad.
Christopher Nicolau says, quick, Decker, tell them to get rid of Chibi Thulu before you can see another shitty Asylum film to review. And Nicholas Walker says, talk about Square Enix ending Final Fantasy 15. And we did earlier, actually.
Yeah, we already did that.
Yeah, we did that earlier. So let's go over to some other bits of news, because we do have a lot of it.
We do have a little bit of we're talking about like shows and such, and there is a bit actually. Leading Blind provided a little article, so like
my apologies for derailing the flow. apologize.
If I can find it. Where did that article go? There it is. Okay, that's actually something else that I gotta take care of real quick. You see, Fiancé kind of got her wisdom teeth taken out, and she needs to take her antibiotics.
Well, you're lucky, Decker,
So-
because I'm almost home, so I can be able to access to my computer again.
Oh, good.
Oh, cool. So let me just screen share this real quick. And there we go.
Yeah. Okay.
I will be right back.
Alrighty then. Sabrina, Patricia, what the hell is wrong with me?
Okay,
I'll
so
read this one. Fox
yeah.
TV developing a new Dresden Files TV series. Previously, Lionsgate Television produced 12 episodes of a TV version of the books for the Sci-Fi Channel, now Sci-Fi. The TV was very loosely based on the opening books of the series, but were widely criticized for taking significant liberties with the background, lore, and characters, as well as not faithfully adapting the novels. Particularly criticized was the decision to adapt the first novel in the series, Stormfront, as a movie-length pilot, and then cutting it down to 45 minutes and placing it 8th in the running order, which rendered some of the plotting nonsensical. Butcher has produced 15 of a planned 23 novels in the book series since 2000, along with numerous short stories and comics. It's likely that any TV adaptation would adapt multiple books per season. Fox 21 produces comments primarily for the FX channel, although some of their shows have ended up on Showtime, Netflix, and the USA Network. It'll be interesting to see what comes of this project. I remember the original series that came on Sci-Fi. That was actually how I found the Dresden Files novels. Somehow, I just did not find those when they first started coming out. So a friend, after we watched the Dresden Files together, we watched the whole series, and then he let me borrow the books that he had of it. And he had up through White Knight. And so the two of us, and so I got to read his collection of books, and I loved the series. And while I do prefer the books, I don't think the TV show really was as awful as people make it out to be. It was just very limited by what it was capable of doing at the time. You know, again, this was 2006 when the television series came out on Sci-Fi, no less. So, yeah, high-budget special effects, were not something that we could expect from it. And this was a book series that involved, amongst other things, a zombie T-Rex. So, yeah.
Whoa, stop. Zombie T-Rex? What is this, Dino Crisis?
No, really, one of the books, what was the name? I forget which one it was. But one of the books, there is an event happening. Basically, they're facing a possible zombie apocalypse. And necromancy in general is outlawed in the wizarding world. But Dresden sidesteps this by using the bones of a T-Rex in a museum and bringing it back to life as a zombie. And since it's not human, this doesn't technically violate any of the laws banning necromancy. So therefore, Dresden rides to the rescue on the back of a zombie T-Rex.
I don't know if this is either ridiculous or the most awesome thing ever.
The answer to that is yes.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, I'm actually really curious about how the book is going to turn out, because I've heard about the Dresden Files from a few of my friends who read it, but I myself never got a chance to read it. So the fact that it's going to get a faithful adaptation should be really good.
I'm excited about it. I mean, I'm a little, I have some trepidation at the same time, but
Well, I mean, yeah, but nonetheless, I mean, let's just hope that with all the adaptations, I mean, let's just hope that this one is actually, of better quality than the last time that they tried to do it.
Let's hope so. Like I said, I don't hate the original sci-fi series. It's just it wasn't feasible for them to adapt the books faithfully. This is obviously, from what I just described, this is not a book series that you could bring to the television in 2006.
I'm surprised they didn't try to do like a movie series, capping on the popularity of the fantasy genre.
That does seem a little surprising, but keep in mind also that supernatural drama was still an iffy subject. I mean, now making a movie or a TV series about this, it sounds like, well, what's taken them so long? Why haven't they done that? But it's only just in the last 5 to 7 years that this has become a genre that's profitable for studios, both movie and television.
I see. As opposed to like, what is this weird thing?
Right, exactly. It's only just recently, in less than a decade, that the style of supernatural drama that, like Harry Dresden, has become something that movie studios and TV studios are willing to invest big money in. This was just when shows like Supernatural and Buffy paved the way for it, but Buffy had been off the air for a few years, and it still hadn't quite found anything that filled the void. But this was before Supernatural, this was before Haven, this was before a lot of shows that really captured people's imaginations.
Oh, okay, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Oh, look, the Creepy Decker's here.
I see that now.
So, Motorcycle US is asking, Creepy, is poking Decker with a stick a fun thing to do?
I enjoy it.
I don't. Okay, what happened to the conversation? As Charlie McFarlane's like, goddamn sexual zombie Tyrannosaurus.
Oh, we were talking about Harry Dresden.
Well, we were discussing about a zombie T-Rex, that's why.
Cyber zombie vampire alien T-Rex, says Corey 2000. What the... Okay.
Don't worry. Creepy will discuss all about it.
Brandon Kilgore's asking, Theodore Rex?
I remember that movie.
Leading Blind says the books are still coming out.
Yeah, there's 23 of them total in the series, and I think we're on 18 or 19. Or maybe it's 15 by now.
So they've released 23 books, and it's still popular. That's pretty commendable.
23 is the number that there will be in the series as a whole.
But still, I mean, 23, that's great. I mean, usually when it comes to these, there's either like 3, 5, 10, 7. But 23, that's, I mean, it's probably not going to be as repetitive as like the Babysitter's Club books, but that's,
And that was a book series that got its own TV show.
Okay.
Yes, I remember.
Just about got Live and Wired poll actually ready on Twitter. It's amazing.
Wow, that's great.
Now, this is something I should have put together a long time ago, because it's back on that first topic about don't you have phones, about PC games being on like, hey, we're a game company, but we're going to make this on a cell phone now. What the hell are you... Aww.
She's doing these things just to screw with you.
She was just there like, meow. Sarah? Do I say meow? No, she's not. Okay, so, in the idea of Diablo, traditionally pretty involved game, like even back on the first Diablo, which was initially supposed to be turn-based up until the publisher or someone was like, you know what? It has to be real time. And they're like, But they had already set up all the turns and stuff based on how much time things would take to do, so they just kind of translated those tables over and flipped the switch effectively, and it worked. So, but yeah. Oh, a lot of roguelikes are actually sort of turn-based. But anyway, even if it hides how turn-based it is. But with the idea of such games coming to the phone now, what game do you want to play on your cell phone? Which game would you like? Which game series would you like to have a very nice game on your cell phone and are sure that you're not going to miss a traditional controller or a keyboard and mouse? Just don't need to actually worry at all about your ability to control this thing. We have StarCraft, Doom Eternal.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Surgeon Simulator. It's a good one. It's hard to control. With the touch screen. And Devil May Cry.
Which one, the original or the remake?
Any of them.
Yeah.
I would assume if it's on the phone, it's going to be the remake. You're going to fine, we're going to make some more money off of this somehow. So that's going to go for 30 minutes starting now on Twitter at Decker's Shado. Patricia, are you at your computer yet, or am I going to have to put the
No,
link
I
to the damn
got it.
stuff?
Let me just log in right now.
Okay. There we go. Now I just got to hand you over the thing and ship them. There we are. Okay. Jacob Kennedy says, Decker, I'm still waiting for a review of my life as a teenage robot. Escape from Cluster Prime. Yeah, I still have to get that. I got a lot of things involving being a robot that I got to review. Like being a robot and a cop at the same time. Do vids on the Cube films. What's the Cube? Cube?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I'm back. I'm home, everybody, and I have my microphone set up, so I don't sound like garbled awfulness. So anyway, I'm gonna put the poll over into the chat as always.
I got to change my name on Twitter. And possibly my avatar. I just see the image of every time I do a link to my Twitter, it always comes up in Skype with the little preview image, and it's me from my car in the Predator reaction review, and my name is still Complain Until You Die.
We have a comment from Nicholas Walker who says, sorry I missed that Final Fantasy news, but can you talk about Universal Pictures rebooting Shrek?
Oh, that's an article you did provide.
Yes, I did. I did. We'll discuss about that a little later on, but
I'm still like, what the fuck about it? Well, wait until we get to the article.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually.
Also, as a fair warning, I think I might have put a little too much rum in this. It's just some eggnog. I was like, hey, they got eggnog, yay! But I can taste the rum. I'm like, oh, I put too much. Oh, oops. Tara, don't run away. It's okay. Side assault, Shrek rebooted. Yes. Michael Wolf, is Shrek still relevant? They think so. Relevant enough for money.
Yeah. So you know what? Let's actually bring it up right now, because if we don't, then we're going to be bombarded with all the memes.
Oh god.
Yeah. I please don't.
Memes.
Please don't. I really don't like that. Okay, so so here we go, guys.
All right.
Okay, Shrek, Puss in Boots getting rebooted, exclusive from Variety. Shrek and Puss in Boots are getting rebooted, and Chris Meledandri, the man behind Despicable Me, is overseeing the revival. Great.
So they're rebooting it as a CGI film. That's amazing.
What a concept.
Oh, God.
Universal Pictures has tasked Meledandri with finding some fresh storylines to reintroduce the lovable ogre and the sword-wielding feline to new generations of moviegoers.
Moonheart44 says, no! Oh! Oh!
Somebody once told me you wanted more Shrek movies. Well, Universal will do that for you.
Oh, God.
Why? Let's continue. One thing the animation guru doesn't want to mess with is with the vocal performance. Part of the popularity of Shrek is attributable to a voice cast that included Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, and Antonio Banderas. And in a lengthy profile with Variety, Meledandri says that he would like to get the band back together.
So it's going to be a CGI remake of Shrek involving all the original voice actors. Wow!
When you look back on those vocal performances, they're awesome. And while you certainly could make the case for a complete reinvention, I find myself responding to my own nostalgic feelings of wanting to go back to these characterizations, explains Meledandri.
So it's going to be a CGI remake of Shrek with the same voice actors, and they're going to be doing the same thing. Wow!
The challenge for us has been to find something that really does feel like it's not simply yet another film in a series of sequels. The movie comes after the studio's parent company Comcast bought DreamWorks Animation, the studio behind Shrek, in 2016 for $3.8 billion. Initially, there had been speculation that Meledandri, whose Illumination Entertainment is co-owned by Universal, would be asked to oversee DreamWorks Entertainment. However, Meledandri says that he came to feel that he couldn't manage the two companies and still maintain the same level of quality in the films that he makes. Sure. In the way in which I work with my team to make movies is very intense and hands-on, and it really doesn't allow me the opportunity to think about running a second operation. I love the process of making films and working with artists. I don't think I'm particularly great at managing companies. Even though he hasn't cracked the code on Shrek, Meledandri sounds confident that it's only a matter of time before moviegoers get to revisit the magical fairy tale setting that made the original movie such a treat.
Well, I could also just, put the original movie in my player. There we go.
And turn it on and watch it. And, I mean...
Duck Tordu's like, Shrek is coded?
Corey 2000 says, Shrek, now with more minions. No. No. Leading Blind says Shrek Remade should be done as a CG Broadway musical. Well, there was actually a Broadway musical on Shrek back in the late 2000s, and it was like playing all over the world. So I don't think that they're around anymore, but yeah. But there was one once upon a time. Sorry about the switch over, by the way. Anyway, Illumination's next film, The Grinch, will be opening in theaters, which is already opened in theaters, and a few people have been watching it, and we'll know more details about that later on. But in the meantime, so yeah, Shrek.
A couple of comments were not so positive about The Grinch. Oh,
well, it's not too surprising because I've been hearing so much about the Grinch's reaction towards people when it first was revealed, like the trailer, and everybody was saying like, another Grinch movie by the same people who did Despicable Me. It's like we're gonna get the Lorax all over again, which, to be fair, the Grinch, like, I was like, okay, maybe the Grinch will be different, and then I'm not even joking. I see
Nestine 100 says Shrek reboot will be the ultimate money-grubbing reboot. They don't have to do anything. Just release the original and call it a reboot.
Wow, you are a genius, Nestine 100. You are an absolute genius.
You're going to bring the same voice actors to say the same lines in the same way. The easiest way to do that is just use the same audio.
Mm-hmm.
You know what would also make it really fascinating, but I doubt that they're ever going to do it. I would love to see like a complete animatic of the Chris Farley Shrek movie that we never got.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because believe it or not, Chris Farley was supposed to be the voice of Shrek, but he passed away in 1997, and so they recasted Mike Myers to voice of Shrek instead. It was lost for the longest time until like a few years ago when one clip was released in which, it's the scene in which Shrek and Donkey are talking by the fireplace and they're watching over Princess Fiona and they're talking about like what their lives are going to be as soon as Farquaad delivers the princess. And I watched it, and Chris Farley does a great job as always, but man, this movie would have been completely different if it was released the way it was. I'm actually really interested if maybe Universal or Illumination or whatever released like the full thing, so animation fans can actually get a chance to look at it.
Thomas Earl says dark and gritty Shrek is the only way to go. Very epic and edgy.
Oh, God.
Because Shrek has to face off against the freaking whole army in that big sweeping army shot that you have in every single one of those kinds of adventures.
Yes. If they really wanted to, they probably, that Shrek line in which, it's like, they'll make your suit out of your freshly peeled skin, shave your liver, decapitate an entire army, cut open their spleen and drink their fluids. We're going to see that in the movie.
You're just going to actually see it happen. It's not going to be just some spooky story. They're going to show it. The whole thing. And they're going to expand on it.
Yeah, very much so. The Cheeky Knob says, I wish Chris Farley didn't go down the path he did when he became famous. Well, if there's a really good documentary that you guys should check out about Chris Farley in which, he was really pressured to be really good. He always had low self-esteem about himself. So, he would take drugs so that he can be able to up his confidence. And it eventually led to his demise, which is really, really sad to see. But, yeah, as for the original part, reason why Shrek was around was because Jeffrey Katzenberg, he left Disney after feeling unappreciative by Michael Eisner for essentially giving us the Disney Renaissance. And it was just essentially like a big middle finger to Disney. Lord Farquaad is Michael Eisner. The reason why he's short is because Michael Eisner was really tall and Jeffrey Katzenberg was not, and he decided to make him short out of spite. Duloc is essentially Disney, and it was basically just a twist off of the classic fairy tale. It had little to nothing to do with the book written by William Steig or Steig. I forget what it's pronounced, but yeah, I'm actually. Go ahead.
Crystal Wing 2149, Shrek versus Predator.
Wow.
We'll get back to that.
Yes, we're getting to that point.
It'll never end. It's going to be on episode like 150. And I'm like, hey, Patricia! They're talking about the Predator again.
Oh, man. We're going to go through that again, aren't we? The Predator versus this. The Predator versus that. We're going to see that in the chat. I know we are. But anyway, Hollow Man says, the making fun of Disney is well-to-do dry now. Not even the Simmons guy can do it right. Which is true, by the way, because Disney is already making fun of itself. So if Illumination and Universal want to really reboot Shrek and they want to subvert themselves, and they have to do it in a completely different way. They have to do it in a way.
$20 and says, I hate this reality.
Aw, I am so sorry. Don't we all?
That's why I escape into the world of video games on my phone.
Don't you have phones?
Which I always have on me, and I never need the battery for anything other than Candy Crush.
I mean, it's obvious, isn't it?
Oh, your camera's showing up as the XSplit broadcaster now, Patricia. It used to be black, just straight black.
I know. I'm still having camera issues. I don't know why. Anyway, but let's go over to our next bit of news, because I think this talk of Shrek is getting everybody insane. So, While we're on the subject, for Creepy, I'm sure that he'll be really excited about this because he's been talking about it all week. So, Creepy has been in a Scooby-Doo kick lately on his YouTube channel. And more recently, there has been the announcement of the newest Scooby-Doo movie that's going to be coming out. It's called Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the 13th Ghost. So the long-awaited sequel to the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo animated series from the 80s is finally going to be finished after a long time.
Yeah. They never finished it. That was kind of a sticking point.
Yeah. It's true. So, why don't you read this one, Creepy?
Over 30 years later. It took them that long. The 13th Ghost will finally be revealed in 2019.
Also, I grew up. I grew up and got a job. Kind of.
Where you complain about movies.
Yes.
Yes.
And like this.
And interrupt my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much so.
Back in 1985, ABC aired 13 episodes of a series titled The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, which featured the voice of Vincent Price as a character named Vincent Van Ghoul. Original. All these years later, the story will continue next year in the brand spanking new original movie, Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the 13th Ghost, a direct-to-video sequel to the 80s series. And yes, Vincent Van Ghoul is back. Collider just got their hands on the trailer today, which you can check out below. After the Mystery Inc. gang goofed up a case and nabbed an innocent man, they're forced into early retirement for crime solving. Damn. It's not long, however, before their old friend Vincent Van Ghoul needs help and pulls the team right back into action. The gang has unfinished business they must tend to, which involves catching a ghost that previously got away. It all happened one summer while Velma and Freddy were away at camp. Interesting way of explaining that. Scooby, Shaggy, and Daphne secretly hunted down 12 of the world's spookiest ghosts, but failed to capture the most evil one of them all, the 13th Ghost. Now the elusive spook is wreaking havoc. Vincent needs help having him captured and confined to the Chest of Demons, a box that contains the other 12 captured ghosts. With the 13th Ghost still on the loose, the gang will have to come out of retirement and finish the job once and for all. The chest, however, is now located somewhere in a remote village in the Himalayas, which I believe it was located there the first time. So hiding it.
Maybe they just like put it back there. It's like, yeah, we give up. We're gonna go back to our regularly scheduled mystery solving, and then they just completely forget about it.
I can believe that. I'm like, so they're hiding it in a new location, which is the old location.
Sure.
Determined to help Vincent, the gang sets out on one of their most thrilling adventures yet. Bundle up, and get ready for the icy slopes of the Himalayan mountains. Chilling car chases, crystal balls, and spine-tingling spells in this terrifying, fun original movie. Curse of the 13th Ghost hits DVD and digital on February 5th, 2019.
This should be really interesting because you and Decker covered the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo many years ago. And you also discussed about how you loved the concept, but you felt that the execution could have been better.
Yeah. We both talked about how taking the always mundane solution and flipping it over to always supernatural doesn't really change a whole lot of the show's formula in the end. It doesn't, bring as much new to the table as as people just assume it will. Because
Yukisa Simao has an idea here. They say, I just hope they say Flim Flam is dead.
Flim Flam is not dead. He's going to be in this movie, and he's going to be much older, which begs the question: how long is it between 13 Ghosts and Curse of the 13 Ghost? If Flim Flam is essentially like an older teenager or a young adult, then the 5 members of the Scooby Gang should be older as well. But you know what? Cartoon logic.
I saw the trailer, and from the looks of things, he's a teenager as well.
Okay, then. Patrick Johnson says, plot twist, the 13th Ghost will be the audience's patience for having to wait 30 years for the finale.
Living Corpse said Scooby-Doo and the Necronomicon. That's actually an interesting thing to, and Living Corpse also said Scooby-Doo and Cthulhu. It's an interesting thing because I actually had an idea for a story once upon a time called Scooby-Doo in Miskatonic Mayhem, where this Mystery Inc. graduates from high school and attends college at Miskatonic University.
Oh, that sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Motorcycle US says the gang found a fountain of youth in the case and kept it secret.
Yes. So so while they were in Florida, they went over to St. Augustine, found the Fountain of Youth, took some without anybody noticing, and then they just came back and then they started slowly drinking it. Crystal Wing 2149 says, when will the Ghoul School return? Well, not a movie just yet, but they did feature it in an episode of OKKO.
Yes. That did happen.
Yes. And apparently a lot of people went nuts over it. They're like, ooh, when do we get to see the girls come back in a movie? Because apparently Ghoul School is like really popular amongst like artists because they like to draw them around Halloween.
Nerdbane dropped $2 saying, Flim Flam grows up to be a back alley knife fighter.
Sure.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I'm actually curious because next September is going to be Scooby-Doo's 50th anniversary, and I'm actually curious about how they're going to celebrate it.
Mm-hmm. I may have to do something special that month. Maybe,
yeah, same here.
Maybe try and have another month of Scooby-Doo, and since it's not October, maybe it will be slightly more successful.
Let's see. OKKO meets Scooby-Doo, says Jesse Guajardo. Oh, maybe. Wouldn't be surprised because OKKO did that huge crossover with Ben 10 and the Teen Titans and such. So if they had Scooby-Doo, then sure. Oh yeah, and Captain Planet.
See, now I'm thinking about the Predator crossover again. Now I'm thinking of Scooby-Doo meets the Predator, and now I'm just thinking of Fred like, now let's see who the Predator really is. Takes the mask off. Maybe that wasn't a good idea.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That is funny. That is so funny. Oh. I'm actually imagining like something like that. Like maybe have Decker guest star in my review of Curse of the 13th Ghost, where he confronts Michael Myers and rips off the Michael Myers. Now we'll see who this really is. Yanks. Like I'm imagining Charlie have like she's in her wheelchair, but she's got tape around her, so she's tied up. And then he's like, now let's see who the killer really is. Yank. Yeah. And there's a Predator mask underneath there. Or like a Jason Voorhees mask, if you want to go there. Oh my gosh, Michael Myers was really Jason Voorhees.
Corey 2000 says, turns out the Predator mask was Old Man Xenomorph. That's great. That's really good.
No, they were saying that they accidentally captured an innocent man. So I'm just, are they going to have that scene? It's like, let's find out who Bob the Milkman really is. Ow. Ow. Oh, shit, it's Bob.
Although that does, make an interesting point, like the idea that, Mystery Inc. gets it wrong. Like what happens to the person that they pointed the finger at?
I mean, it's not like they're going to, they're not going to punish the innocent man. Or did they?
Anyway, Uncle Lou says Mystery Gang visits Crystal Lake. That would be a lot of fun.
I think I've seen I've seen the art of that.
Yeah. Although, if you're wanting to see a somewhat similar concept, then you should check out Scooby-Doo Camp Scare.
Crystal Wing 2149 says Scooby-Doo in Silent Hill.
Oh, that should be so... Oh, I want to see that.
I'd be interested in finding out who the hell Pyramid Head really is, though. I'm personally curious.
I'm imagining, like, since Silent Hill is a psychological horror, now we find out, like, all of Mystery Inc.'s emotional baggage. Like, why Shaggy and Scooby are always afraid all the time. Like, what horrible childhood trauma happened that made them terrified of everything. Velma's insecurities, Daphne's insecurities, Fred. Why is it that I'm imagining Fred having insecurities about sexuality? Like, that's... I think he would be the one that Pyramid Head came after.
Nerdbane dropped $2 saying, this time, it really was red herring.
Hey, maybe that's who they pointed the finger at and got it wrong. Maybe Fred did the same thing he had been doing since he was a kid. It has to be red herring. It wasn't red herring, and red herring finally soothed them.
Oh boy.
All right, let's move on. So, yes, we do. All right, so let's see. Let's talk about some announcements on horror movies, because there's a lot of them in different countries, mind you. So the first one that we're going to be covering is, let's cover some news regarding about Nightmare on Elm Street. So,
yeah. And
so,
I believe it's news from like 20 years ago? Or 30?
Yes, we'll get to that one second. But the first thing I want to talk about is a follow-up to the last live stream where Robert Englund was interested in playing Freddy in a Nightmare on Elm Street revival, if it's possible, because we did mention a while ago that the Goldbergs were going to be featuring Freddy Krueger as a special guest, and Robert Englund was going to be playing as him. And so, did you use that article, Decker, in the last one? Oh, okay.
Oh wait, no, the one with the
the one with Robert Englund, that he wanted to play Freddy one more time.
Yeah, I believe we've covered that in the Live and Wired.
Okay, so yeah, and now to follow up on that article, there is somebody else who was interested in playing a character in a Nightmare on Elm Street revival. So we're going to talk about Heather Langenkamp, who played as Nancy in the first, third, and seventh movie. So she wants to play as Nancy Thompson one more time in the Elm Street revival. Why don't you go ahead? Go ahead, Decker.
Okay. Given the smash hit success of Halloween, we wouldn't be surprised to see other horror franchises revived with a similar sequel to the original approach. And it's always possible that A Nightmare on Elm Street could be one of those franchises. Recently, Robert Englund teased that he may have one more left in him, and Heather Langenkamp now says the same. Chatting with EU, Langenkamp expressed that she'd love to reprise the role. I'm sitting here like any other scream queen in Hollywood, hoping that they'd revive the franchise, Langenkamp has told the site. I'm not alone. I know lots of other horror heroines who have this little bit of spring in their step, thinking about the chance of perhaps being in new versions of the movies they helped to make famous as young people. It's kind of crazy, but it's definitely something I would love to do, she added. At this time, however, Langenkamp made sure to note that nothing is in motion. I haven't heard anything about a new film, she says. I certainly keep up with friends at New Line Cinema, and so I would expect if Warner Brothers or New Line Cinema, whoever, would put something like that together, I would imagine that I would know. So the fact that I don't know leads me to believe that it probably is not in the works.
So that should be pretty cool if there could be a possible revival in Nightmare on Elm Street. Very similar to how Halloween pretty much ignored the sequels and then, had a continuation of the first movie.
Maybe and on top of that, they did work pretty hard to make sure that everyone knew, hey, the second movie, that also did not happen.
That is true, yeah, because Wes Craven had nothing to do with it.
I mean, in the Halloween franchise. Okay.
Right. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm talking about.
So they went into detail with in Halloween 2018, saying, there's some people have this rumor that Michael is Laurie's brother, their brother and sister. That's not true. That is not true. It isn't real. So they very very clearly laid that out as like, oh, okay, the second movie definitely didn't happen. Got it.
Yeah. I think I did hear in an interview before the movie came out that John Carpenter regretted that plot twist.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was kind of like it didn't help. It gave a little more explanation as to why he was out there, but it then made the rest of the stuff he did make less sense.
Sure. So I guess in a way that retcon kind of helped a little bit. But now...
Though there were some people who commented on my reaction review of Halloween 2018 saying that they personally liked the brother-sister aspects. And they felt like knocking that out, saying that's definitely not the case, really didn't help Halloween 2018. But I mean, I don't know. I never really liked the brother-sister aspect, and that kind of ruled over the rest of the series.
Sure. But, you know, to be fair, it's another movie in the series, and it doesn't follow the same continuity. If you like either the original continuity or the Thorn trilogy or the reboot or whatever, you know, it's still there. So you can choose whatever you want, and you can come up with your own conclusion.
Right. Personally, I liked the fact that Laurie Strode and Michael turned out to be brother and sister, and yeah, I mean, that's just me, but I actually preferred that.
Sure, I could see that. Now, as for Nightmare on Elm Street, yeah, I'm, excuse me. I'm actually curious about how they're going to do that, if there is a possibility that the Nightmare on Elm Street series were to have a revival with Robert Englund. If the Halloween 2018 movie is a really huge success, that maybe they would do that, then I wouldn't be surprised if there would be more movies in that lineup. Although, you know, it could be just completely done from the ground up to cater to today's audiences. Like we did mention this before with all the other horror movies that are going to be coming out with their remakes, that they're going into the whole let's start over from scratch for a new audience. But who knows, maybe Halloween 2018 will change that.
Anyone pissed drunk? Anyone pissed drunk? Are we talking about Halloween? Asks Chen Killer TV.
We are talking about Halloween, and no, we are not drunk.
Well, well, yeah.
Maybe Decker.
Just a little bit on the tipsinators. I just put too much rum in my eggnog. Too much.
Okay.
That's what you're drinking? Eggnog?
Eggnog and rum.
Well, it is festive. Creepy.
Kraken spiced rum.
No, I'm just like, skip the eggnog and just give me the rum.
Well, you see, the problem with that, Creepy, is it's weird with me. When it comes to hard liquor, for some reason, I get used to it really quickly. Like, I could take shot after shot. But strangely enough, I will feel it more if I mix it with something, and I will get less of a hangover that way. Eventually, I just am able to drink hard liquor, not get drunk somehow, and get a horrible hangover the next day. It's terrible, it's expensive, and it's painful. It's not fun. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is a terrible deal. So the eggnog really helps me. I don't understand why it works that way, but it does.
Even your body chemistry makes no sense.
I know.
You're like this living time anomaly or something.
Though certain liquors I get used to faster than others. Like rum, it takes a while before I get used to rum. Vodka is like the second day I'm drinking it, it's water. I'm like, what the fuck?
Mm. All right. Well, you gentlemen discuss about your alcohol. Our Twitter poll has finally concluded, and we have our results on what game that you want to play on your cell phone. So let me just pull that up. Okay. So according to the poll, 14% of you wanted StarCraft to play on your cell phone.
Oh, God. John Ronan there, let me know something in the comments of the responses to this. Evidently, there is a Devil May Cry mobile game. Devil May Cry 4 is on cell phones.
Well, we were talking about the reboot, not the fourth game. So we could. Well,
actually, I said any of them. So.
Well, you didn't say Devil May Cry 4. You said Devil May Cry, which was either the original or the reboot. Ha! I can get around loopholes.
Patricia, you will represent me in court.
All right, but but it didn't win anyway because it was still 18%. 31% goes to Surgeon Simulator, and finally, our winner with 37% goes to Doom Eternal.
So Torb in the responses also said Devil May Cry on mobile just doesn't sound good at all. It's essentially a single-player FG with a shit ton of combos.
Yeah.
I believe that's fighting game. Single-player fighting, a shit ton of combos. And yeah, but it also, Torb, it's there. It's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chazzy Chaz says, I feel like either Do or Devil May Cry would have the easiest control on mobile. You cannot play a game like StarCraft on your phone screen. And Lady Lolly agrees, saying that it will be too much to control. And
that was the kind of the thing I was going for.
Yeah. And, Jolly Ronan, thank you for letting us know about the Devil May Cry 4 gameplay, but we were referring to either the original or the reboot. So let's see.
Yes. My representation.
Yes. Leading Blind says, Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I've never even heard of the options. Okay. I guess that makes a little bit of sense because I think that's the game that you have a cell phone in, if I remember. Maybe.
See, I remember there was a console game I played the hell out of on my phone. I had a little emulator on it. I had Phantasy Star 2. And that worked out pretty well, mainly because very few controls, and it was turn-based.
Okay. Let's see. Cat Lunacia says, Surgeon Simulator, maybe, but I want Animal Crossing on my phone. Oh, wait, I can. The Slinging Slasher says, I hate mobile games. Yeah. What, you don't have a phone?
What, you don't got phones?
And finally, last but certainly not least, we have Brushfire Glow, who says, Free Doom works well, so Doom Eternal should work fine. Okay.
But yeah, there's a reason why the Switch does well and why cell phones do exist, and cell phone mobile games are a market and they have their place. But the boardroom idea that a game is a game, a platform is whatever, and all it's going to change is your penetration into the market or what have you, they really don't seem to get it. And it was like there was some talks with Blizzard speaking with other companies, like giving interviews after the fact and saying that all of them, they play games on their phones all the time. And it's what they're doing. They play more on their phones than on PCs anymore. The guys at Blizzard right now, I think that's what it was basically said as.
Sure, but I think that the way they delivered it was kind of a little bit sketchy.
I mean, it's for me, I don't mind phone games, but usually I want to use my phone battery for, making sure that I can use my GPS and call people in case I'm in deep shit.
Sure. I think that's what we all want to use our phones for, to contact people in case we go through some troubles.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that's pretty much it with our poll. So let's go over to the second news report about Nightmare on Elm Street, and this is actually pretty interesting. I was pretty shocked at this little bit of news that I found a few weeks ago, but nonetheless, I want to bring it up. So, according to an article by Dread Central, not Dead Central. There was once a time in which Robert Englund and Dokken did cocaine off of Freddy Krueger's glove.
I mean, to be fair, if I was there, I would have as well. I mean, it's like, no, there's no other option. This isn't the part where... This is a kind of situation in a video game where you have two options pop up. It was like, yes or hell's yes. How would you like to go about snorting this cocaine?
To be fair,
enthusiastically or not?
But to be fair, this did happen in the 80s during the time of Nightmare on Elm Street 3. So this isn't like a new thing that just happened recently.
Wait, how old was I then?
Let's see. When did Dream Warriors come out?
Okay, I gotta look that up real quick because I'm dumb.
Yeah, while you look that up, I'll read the article. The YouTubers at Consequence of Sound had just put together an interesting video retrospective of the iconic villain from A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, how Freddy Krueger went from child killer to MTV rock star.
Ah, okay, I got it.
Okay.
It came out February 27th, 1987, so I was 3.5.
Nice. I would have been about 1.5.
You said it was February?
February 27th, 1987.
Okay, so never mind. I would have been about less. Yeah, I would have been almost turning 1.
I would have been 6.5 years old.
Okay. Let's see. Well, most of it is an analytical examination of the marketing tactics used to create Freddy's unique brand. There is an especially interesting reveal about the video shoot for Doken's Dream Warriors. The song was written for A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, and England participated in the video in full Krueger makeup. Between takes, however, the boys partied it up like true agents of rock and roll excess. Guitarist George Lynch recounted snorting lines of cocaine off of the Springwood Slasher's bladed glove. Give the video a spin below for more juicy details and interesting factoids. After that, you can check out the video for Doken's Dream Warriors. Just remember, kids, Freddy's glove was designed for murder, not drugs. Okay? So, yeah. There's the video right there by Consequence of Sound, and this is the music video. So, yeah. That's the 80s for you.
Yeah. We got to go back. We have to go back.
Decker, you do realize that going back to the 80s means going back to Gem.
You remember that? You remember a hot tub time machine? I think Decker needs to find one.
I thought you were going to point out to me that was going to mean living in the woods and not eating. But yeah, Gem, yeah. Oh well.
But nonetheless, yeah, let's go over to our next bit of news. Let's take a break from the horror stuff and let's go into some sci-fi. So, let me see. Oh, I got one. So, yeah, there's been talks for a long time about, some more remakes based off of some sci-fi movies. One we'll discuss about in a minute, but one that was surprising to me that is going to get a TV series was Explorers. Explorers was a 1980s movie, and the guys Cary Fukunaga and David Lowery are remaking Explorers for TV. So, yeah, I really don't know too much about Explorers. I personally have never seen it.
Yeah, Charlie McFarlane says, so, in the Nightmare on Elm Street, where there is an anti-drug message for one character, a hair metal band snorted cocaine off Freddy's glove. Yeah, that's the 80s.
Yes. and yes, Uncle Lou, that's the movie with River Phoenix in Explorers, I believe. And yes, Corey 2000, this is the movie where the kids make spaceships and they see aliens.
I wish I could make a spaceship and see aliens, unless they were the kind that kill you.
No, I think these were the friendly aliens.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, let's see. Joe Dante's Explorers is a movie we don't talk about often, but that's going to change in the wake of the following news. Cary Fukunaga and David Lowery are teaming up to write a pilot script for Paramount Television based off of the beloved 1985 Joe Dante-directed Explorers, the coming-of-age sci-fi film that starred Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix. Fukunaga and Lowery will write the Bible and script, and one of them will be directing the pilot should it get to that. So for starters, Explorer strikes as a perfectly good remake candidate, especially with the guys leading the charge. The original film, which involved a trio of boys managing to build their own spaceship before mixing it up with aliens on an interstellar adventure, is one we think back on fondly, but not exactly untouchable. Combine Fukunaga's attention to detail with Laurie's talent for delivering heartfelt drama, can cast the three leads right and slap a new coat of paint on the material with modern VFX technology, and you'll probably have something special.
No, not modern VFX technology.
No?
Go back a couple of decades, that VFX technology, nothing wrong with it. Modern, yeah, unless you put a few $1 million into it, it's not really going to look that great.
Well, to be fair, it's just a pitch. We don't know what the we don't know what the final outcome is going to be.
Also, Randall Flag says, "I'm back. I had to pick up my sons from grandma's. Will this show be available on your channel later for viewing to see what I missed?" And yes, it should immediately, well, as soon as it's done processing on YouTube, set itself up as a video on demand kind of thing.
Yeah. You'll be able to catch all of our zaniness later on.
That reminds me, I should check. Did they demonetize us yet?
Probably they have. For another, we're wondering where the two will find the time. Laurie just announced his next film.
No, we're still monetized.
Woo! Awesome.
Wow. I'm surprised.
Yeah, me too. But don't worry, the night's still young.
Yeah.
Laurie just announced his next film, an epic retelling of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and Fukunaga is gearing up to shoot the next James Bond movie. Neither of these projects sound like easygoing larks. Surely they know what they're doing, but damn, son, you're going to have your hands full for a minute. And finally, no word on where the project's headed. Fukunaga's established relationship with Netflix makes that partnership seem likely. Also noting, Paramount Television just worked with the streaming service on The Haunting of Hill House. But of course, there's no guarantee. Could go to Crackle, you don't know. We're very intrigued by this and curious to see how this shakes out. Stay tuned for further updates on the new Explorers and all the other projects that Fukunaga and Laurie are working on as they roll in. So yeah, Explorers. I personally have never seen the movie, so I'm curious about if you think that this movie is worth retelling or remaking.
Well, I haven't seen it either, but at the same time, I'm just stuck on the concept where they're like, hey, these kids, they built this spaceship, and then they went, and they had fun. And I'm thinking, I've played a lot of games where I build spaceships and go, and I always die.
Yeah, I mean, like, on the one hand, a part of me thinks maybe, but on the other, I'm like, just leave it alone and let it be what it was. I mean, but then again, on the other hand, it's not like I have to watch it. You know, I can always go back and watch the original instead.
Motorcycle US says, "Not seen Explorers? Shun!"
I'm sorry. But I did hear bits and pieces of it. Like, I do know that it's about a bunch of boys exploring, but I don't really know anything other than that.
Charlie McFarlane says, "Kerbal Space Program. I built a ship. It explodes." I like to imagine that it doesn't even get off the launch pad. It's just, okay, and button, boom. Ow. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing technical difficulties. So, yeah. So, all right. I guess nothing much to say about that. So let's go over to our next set of news. Oh yeah, this ought to be interesting. So, a while ago, we did discuss about that there was going to be a remake of The Witches, the book that was written by Roald Dahl, and there was a movie of it around the early 90s. So Robert Zemeckis is going to be the one involved with the Witches remake, and we do know some more information on it about who they're casting and where is it going to be set. So they're going to have a black lead, and it's going to be set in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
This should be interesting, considering that, this isn't the first time that they Americanized a Roald Dahl book.
Yes.
Matilda was the same way. They did that for...
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Let's see if I can think of anything else. Fantastic Mr. Fox, you could make the argument. So... yeah, let's see what this article says. So, filmmaker Robert Zemeckis is mixing things up with his adaptation of Roald Dahl's novel *The Witches* by setting the story in the U.S. South, namely Alabama. Oh, that's where I'm from. Is casting a young black male lead. Dahl's 1983 children's fantasy horror was previously adapted for the big screen by director Nicholas Roeg in 1990, although that film is famous for its creepy practical effects by the Jim Henson Company's Creature Shop and Angelica Houston's freaky performance as the evil Grand High Witch as much as anything else. Guillermo del Toro wrote a fresh movie adaptation of The Witches several years ago and planned to direct it for some time before he eventually moved on to other projects. Zemeckis became officially attached to helm the project for Warner Brothers this past summer, but he will not be using Del Toro's script draft. Instead,
when you have like the guide to make a shitload of money and a lot of people happy right in front of you, Sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Instead, Zemeckis will be drawing from a screenplay that he co-wrote with Kenya Barris, aka the creator of the popular TV series Blackish, and its spin-off Grownish. Okay. As well as the co-writer of last year's comedy hit Girls Trip. According to GWW, Zemeckis and Barris The Witches script takes place in the American South, again, mostly Alabama, and features an 8 to 10-year-old young black boy as the protagonist who, unlike in Dahl's novel, his name might not be Luke. It's expected that the lead's grandmother, another key character, will be African-American as well, although no one has been cast in either role as of yet. Production will primarily take place at Warner Brothers Studio, Leavesden in England, beginning next April, though the project will be on location filming in southern states such as Georgia and or Louisiana, most likely. Changes in settings and ethnicity of leads aside, however, Zemeckis' The Witches will not be all that different from Dahl's source material, as you can see from the film's synopsis. When his parents searched... Go ahead.
You had a script from Del Toro and you tossed it aside.
Yeah, that's where I keep coming back to. I feel like this, not the all-black cast or anything. I feel like that's where you really fucked up.
They're throwing out the Del Toro scripts.
Right.
Yeah, you can still have them.
I mean,
they didn't say all black, but
it doesn't matter about like the skin tone or whatever. It's like you have a guy who last year had an Oscar-winning film, and he was known for a lot of horror and sci-fi films that are beloved by everyone. Pan's Labyrinth, Pacific Rim, and he's doing Pinocchio on Netflix, which is going to take from the original dark roots of the book.
Right.
Anyway, so synopsis. When his parents are killed, a young boy goes to live with his feisty, loving grandma, who had a terrifying encounter with witches when she was just a girl. When grandma realizes that the witches have returned, she flees with the boy to the swankiest resort in the South, only to be realized that they've wandered right into a nest of witches, headed by the Grand High Witch, who intends to transform the world's children into mice, starting with the boy. Zemeckis' The Witches will not be the first. Oh, I just mentioned that now. and I just briefly read it. So The Witches will not be the first Americanized take on Dahl's literature either. Danny DeVito's 1996 movie adaptation of Matilda also shifted its source material from England to North America. This change in setting is arguably all the more appropriate with The Witches, given that there is a tried and true tradition of storytelling involving with witches in the USA. You see movies like Practical Magic, or most recently, and I'm sorry, creepy, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. So as long as the execution is up to snuff, and it ought to be given Zemeckis and Barris' involvement, this new take on Dahl's book could prove to be all the more affected as a spoopy tale of witches and whatnot. Oh God, they said spoopy. No.
I'm not gonna hold my breath.
If I could throw something out there real quick, there's also, and this is playing devil's advocate just a little bit, but considering that it is being set in Alabama, and Patricia, you probably know this as well, there are a lot of traditions about, witch stories in this part of the South, in Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee, stories about, most of them paint witches in a very bad light, but at the same time, there are still a lot of stories about witches and the ghosts of witches and so forth. There's the Yazoo County witch. There's the Bell Witch legend from Tennessee. And there's also one somewhere along the Natchez Trace that was supposedly a meeting spot for witches as well.
Possibly. I just moved to Alabama a few months ago, so I'm still kind of new to everything. But when I was in Florida, we did have sort of like our own little local legend. There was an old woman who would walk around dressed in black, and she was called the Witch of Wellington. And she passed away a few years ago, but there was like stories about her. She always like wandered around in like a certain location, and everybody just called her a witch. And so she pretty much had that reputation for a long time.
Right.
So...
Chris, Charlie McFarlane asks, Are these witches Satanists as well?
Oh.
Jacob Kennedy saying, please let the witches be sexy. And I think, well, they tend to be at least passable until they go witch form.
Sure.
That's when it's like, oh my god, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Annabelle Lee says Angelica Houston will always be the Grand High Witch. Also, Morticia Adams.
I'm not having high hopes just because of the way it's kind of being presented. It's like, I really don't care that the main kid is black. That should change nothing.
Yeah,
really.
That shouldn't really change anything. It's just about the execution of the story.
But the fact that the article goes into such, that's such a new thing, and it's co-written by the guy behind Blackish. I'm just thinking it's probably going to be what it would be considered woke. And I'm kind of annoyed, to be honest, because it's like, I just want to sit down and say, listen, you cannot possibly think you are subversive when you are so fucking derivative. You understand this? You can't. It doesn't work that way. To those who don't quite know what definition of woke I am using, I don't mean being awake in the morning with a cup of joe. I mean, yes, someone who is considered woke is someone who understands the world and knows the secrets and must spread the word. And the word that they're spreading also just so happens to be the status quo, but they don't realize it's the status quo. They think that it's this new thing that no one knows. Like, hey, don't be racist. New.
Yeah. And it's Big Fish was actually filmed in Alabama, and it's actually about 2 hours away from where I'm currently living. So,
Right.
it could be possible that they could utilize it to its advantage if they did it right. So, it's all a matter of what the story is going to be compared to the book.
Patrick Johnson, wake up, sheeple! Don't you understand women are people too? Patricia, you are a human being with rights. And it took someone as great as me to tell you this.
Thank you, Decker. Really do appreciate that.
I am super woke.
Yes.
I might still only give you 73 cents for every dollar I make on Live and Wired, but it's just the world we live in. I'm sorry. God damn it.
Thank you.
Oh, God. Corey 2000 says, Decker Shadow mansplaining that? Oh, God. So
let's move on, shall we?
let's continue. The Witches had the screenplay written by Guillermo del Toro, and it looked, well, I don't know how it looked, but I assume, I feel better knowing that than knowing the guy behind Blackish. Like, yay?
Yay? Sure. All right. Let's go over to another topic. Let's see. Oh, I got something. So our next discussion is going to be regarding about another, we're going to be discussing about horror movies in a sense of, everybody has their favorite horror movie, and depending on where you live, according to various sources such as IGN's top 25 horror movies and Google Trends 2017 data on which horror films were the most popular in each state, apparently they put together a list on what was each state's favorite horror movie.
What I saw the little map and the little list, and I thought was really kind of funny is you could just guess.
Yes, you could pretty much just guess. So, I guess let's start off with you, Decker. So you live in Texas. Yeah. Which horror movie do you think is the favorite?
I already looked at the list, and I thought it was funny because Texas was the only one that listed that. Okay, let's ask the chat.
Yes, let's ask the chat.
Ask the chat.
What do you think the Texas favorite horror movie is, according to this list. Texas,
Yeah.
like I said, is the only one that picked this.
Yes, Texas was the only state that liked this movie as their favorite.
Charlie McFarlane saying The Thing. Randall Flagg saying Prophecy, the monster movie. I don't know if that was an answer to.
That wasn't even anywhere.
Maybe they were just talking amongst each other about their own favorite horror movies. Michael Wolf says
maybe.
with a question mark, so it's probably an answer. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah,
And you'd be right.
Samos like Texas Chainsaw. Kat Luniska, Texas Chainsaw. Patrick Johnson, Texas Chainsaw. Yes.
Yes, that is the correct answer. It is Texas Chainsaw Massacre because what else could it be? All right, so
Corey 2000 says Clinton's America.
Wow.
Okay, let's off.
Okay, so Creepy,
nice happy movie time.
Yes, Creepy, you're next. So, did you see the list?
No, I did not.
Okay, so I'll let you and the chat guess. Okay, so Mississippi, which movie is the favorite horror movie in Mississippi?
Go ahead.
So let's see. Why don't you take a guess, Creepy? What do you think?
I'm gonna say Child's Play.
Child's Play. Okay. Let's see. We have.
The state loves to fuck with me.
Okay, so Annabelle Lee says Friday the 13th. Satoshi Katsumoto says Dragon Ball Evolution. Sure.
Mississippi Burning. Oh man.
Rage Ace says the O.J. Simpson case.
Hatchet maybe in Louisiana, I would
Yeah.
think.
No, the answer actually is The Thing.
Z Renfro got it right
Yes,
before you said it.
Yeah, that's right. Z Renfro, you are correct. It is The Thing. All right, so since I'm currently living in Alabama, what do you think is the favorite horror movie in Alabama? And I already know this one, so I'm going to let everybody else take a guess.
Okay.
Oh, I can't remember, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah, you go ahead, take a look. Okay, so let's see what we got. Crystal Wing 2449 says Alien. Nicholas Walker says the first Terminator film. Marquise Wakefall says The Last Airbender. Sure. Let's see.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Jacob Kennedy says Sweet Home Alabama. Sure. Let's see. Randall Flagg says Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh God.
Yes. No. Corey 2000 says Deliverance.
Patrick Johnson says, I bet the favorite horror movie of my home state, Maine, is a Stephen King film.
Well, I'll let you know about that in a minute. But I'm just going to say the answer because it's actually something that you would never expect. The Alabama's favorite horror film is The Ring.
Interesting.
I know. I would have never guessed that it would have been The Ring out of all things. So now going back into Patrick Johnson for Maine's favorite horror movie.
It?
No, it is not It. Actually.
It isn't It?
It is not even a Stephen King film.
That sentence itself is confusing me.
I know, and let you know this, it's no Stephen King film's favorite movie is in Maine. Wow. So that is shocking.
That seems wrong.
Steven, you gotta work harder.
Yes.
That is why he's still making stuff all the time. It's because he's like, man, they still don't like me that much. I gotta try harder. Just put it on.
Sorry, Moonheart44. It's not Carrie because it's a Stephen King film. Charlie McFarlane says Psycho. Kat Luciana actually got the right answer. It is Suspiria.
Like the original or the remake?
I think they're talking about the original because this was done before the remake was announced.
Okay.
Okay. Annabelle
Jesse
Lee
Guajardo says, the fuck? I'm wondering, is that a movie?
Okay, so Duck Tour Doom wants to know about Massachusetts. All right. And sorry, Jaws is not Massachusetts' favorite film. So let's see. Let's see. Corey 2000 says a fish-based movie. No, it is not a fish-based movie. Crystal Wing 2149 says Screamers. Jacob Kennedy says Creep Show. Once again, for for that, no. We're talking about Oregon.
Super Bowl 52, the Fallout 76 trailer.
No.
Hi, Decker. Oh, hi, Steve Hyatt.
Let's see. No, it's not the Fallout 76 trailer. No, it's not Salem's Lot either, and it's not The Shining.
Randall Flagg asks, a movie-based fish?
Yes. No. No, it's not a movie-based fish. No, let's see. David Vine says Night of the Living Dead. No. Z Renfro says Nightmare on Elm Street. No.
Jacob Kennedy says, Madick.
No. Okay, the correct answer is for Massachusetts. It's Rosemary's Baby.
Again, interesting.
Captain
All
Niska
right.
just said Rosemary's Baby, and I'm trying to figure out, because I know there's a delay, and I'm thinking they couldn't have said it that fast.
Yeah.
They didn't hear it yet. They probably got it right just in time, and then, because especially since they'd have to type it out. No.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're a really fast, like...
Yeah, like they type like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Okay, so Annabelle Lee wanted to know about her home state, which is Oregon. So Oregon's favorite horror movie.
Nicole7891 says, gotta get going, see you later, stay alive. I will try, Nicole.
Yes.
I take every day as a try not to die challenge.
Yeah, I'm just going to let you know that Oregon is also the same as Maine, which is Suspiria. So yeah, Suspiria was also a favorite in Oregon. Okay, Colorado, says Randall Flagg. Okay, so yes, I want you to guess what Colorado's favorite. It's gonna be like the same thing. Yes, you're correct. You're good job. Bravo.
Yeah.
Okay, so Colorado. What is Colorado's favorite horror movie? It's gonna be so easy. It's not even funny. Van Gogh, 1972. You are correct. It is The Shining.
Oh.
Because it obviously takes place in Colorado.
So
Right.
Stephen King does have some land claimed on the map, just not Maine.
Just
Yeah.
not me.
Yeah.
Probably all of the Mystery Incorporated wannabes who show up in Maine looking for ghosts and masked criminals.
Nevada. I think I remember what Nevada's was.
Yeah. So, yeah, what is Nevada? All right, I'm just going to go over to scroll down what Nevada is.
Eric, Texas was Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the one.
Right.
Okay, so Crystal Wing 2449 says Amityville Horror. No, that's not the correct answer, but good guess though.
Satoshi Katsumoto says Emoji movies and Emoji movie and Twilight count as horror movies. They're equally shitty.
Sure. Corey 2000 says Leprechaun 3. No, that's not the right answer.
Right, does Twilight count as a horror movie? I mean, it does have vampires and werewolves and...
It scares me, so sure. Brandon Kilgore says The Wraith. No, but very close though.
Randall Flagg, The Hills Have Eyes.
No, but good guess though.
They don't? Oh, man.
I'm sorry though.
I've been lied
let's
to.
see. Ooey Gooey Goodra says Plan 9 from Outer Space. No, but it is black and white. I'll give you that as a hint. So,
Okay.
yeah, it is a black and white horror movie. So, okay. Yes, Patrick Johnson, Twilight has vampires. I know, it's shocking. Tony Dunlap says, iCarly Halloween's bad. Sure. Okay, so the answer for Nevada's was The Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah. The Bride of Frankenstein is Nevada's favorite horror movie.
There's not that many people in Nevada, is there?
I guess not. I mean, although Las Vegas, it's hugely populated,
Oh,
but
God
busy
damn it.
gambling.
I was thinking, like, there's got to be, like, 12 people in the state in order to be able to just have that kind of a weird offshoot.
I guess so. All right. So, okay. ZZ Renfro says Oklahoma. All right. Well, and then we'll do North Dakota. And Crystal Wing 2149, we already did Texas.
Michael Wolf is asking, where did they get these statistics?
The statistics is a combination of IGN's top 25 horror movies and 2017's Google Trends data on which horror films were the most popular in each state, and they conducted a survey. All right, so let's see. what was let's see what we okay, so Oklahoma, and then we'll do North Dakota. So Oklahoma. Well, Oklahoma, I'm just going to let you know that Oklahoma is pretty much the same as Alabama. It's the ring. So nothing much to say about that. As for North Dakota,
New York, the New York Ripper.
Yes, the
Really?
New York. No, of course not.
Sorry, I've been having a little too much nog. So you're like, yes, I'm like what? I really thought that I got it right for a second.
Yeah. All right. So we're doing North Dakota now. Okay. Corey 2000 says Convent Count versus Twilight. No. Kat Luciana is correct. It is Night of the Living Dead.
Rage Ace says the YouTube ads.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No. It's not Night of the Living Dead. It's Dawn of the Dead. I'm sorry. So yeah, Dawn of the Dead is North Dakota's favorite horror movie.
I'm still monetized. They said the YouTube ad, so I just got a little worried and had to check. Make sure.
All right, let's do a few more because otherwise we would be doing every single one of these. Let's see.
I used to know the stage song.
Oh
now
yeah.
I can't remember how it starts. So fuck it.
Let's see. We have let's see what they want to see. Okay. Oh, Pennsylvania. Okay, Pennsylvania. That's that is Night of the Living Dead. So I'm sorry. Yeah, that's Night of the Living Dead. Aside of Salt, we already did Oregon, and Oregon's favorite horror movie is Suspiria. West Virginia. Okay, we'll do West Virginia.
West Virginia.
West Virginia is also The Ring.
Well, shit.
Yeah, sorry.
Not the Mothman Prophecies.
West Virginia, see The Ring.
The Mothman Prophecies wasn't on the list of the top horror movies.
And let's see, Van Gogh, 1972. Iowa is not Children of the Corn, which is shocking because Iowa is known for their corn. So yeah, let's do Iowa next. So what do you think is Iowa's favorite horror movie? Okay, Iowa.
Let's say Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, but Iowa is known for potatoes.
It. Someone has to search Google for the word it at some point.
Yeah, it's not it.
God
Let's
damn
see.
it.
Brandon Kilgore says Iowa Resident Evil. No, it's not, but good guess. The Exorcist. No, but good guess. Crystal Wing 2449 says Anaconda. Nope. Randall Flagg says Thanksgiving. No, but good one. Let's see. We got them,
Nightmare on Elm
Child's
Street.
Play, Twister, Attack of the Killer Potatoes. Sure.
God damn it.
The Blob, Night of the Scarecrows, The Omen, 1954's Them, Saw. Wow, but that's a good one, guess, guys. But no, Iowa's favorite horror movie is actually Silence of the Lambs. All right, and yeah, so
we gotta not get stuck on the states for too many
yeah.
states.
Okay. Let's do one more. So anybody, just give me like one quick state, and then I'm just gonna look it up real quick.
Well, I saw people asking for both California and Arizona.
Okay, so let's do those last two. So Arizona is also Silence of the Lambs. California is also Suspiria. So give me New York. Okay, New York.
Florida is one that I remember that one, and I think Creepy would like it.
Okay, sure. Yeah. We'll do. Okay, so New York is Suspiria. Florida. Ooh, okay. Florida would be good because we just read one that hasn't been chosen. Okay, Florida. This will be the last one. Florida. What is Florida's favorite horror movie?
Fishenstein.
Yes.
Carol Bellinger says Scream.
You're right. It is Scream.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it, everybody. If you are
then message retracted.
All right. Well,
now I said it. Asked it again. Scream.
Yeah. So if you are actually interested in learning about what your favorite state, it has, what your state has what each state has their favorite horror movies as. You can definitely look it up in this local news website, which is WTKR.com. Slash 2018 1030 slash the United States of Ascaria for each state favorite horror movies. I'll post it in the chat for you guys to check it out. So yeah, that was a lot of fun, guys. So yeah, I think that we should move on to our next topic right before we just keep delving into so much what is everyone's favorite horror movies in each state. So let's go to our next topic. So okay, let's actually discuss more about some horror movies, because there are going to be a lot of horror movies coming out on Netflix and on other forms of digital releases. So let's discuss about the first one, which is a horror movie that's going to be coming out on Netflix, and the movie is called Cam. So let me just pop this up for a second.
Oh boy.
This will be interesting. Okay, so Cam, Netflix horror movie about a cam girl's existential crisis, looks insane. The Handmaid's Tale actress Madeline Brewer plays an internet porn performer locked out of her account in the latest Blumhouse horror. Yeah. Okay then.
Yeah,
So
is like, is it about cam girls getting killed? Kinda, maybe. I don't know. It's about cam girls, but it's not necessarily about it's not like slasher villain come through and killing cam girls. It's a more psychological kind of thing than that.
Yeah. Okay, so Decker, why don't you read this one?
If horror is a reflection of the deepest societal fears of the time, Cam has dug into one of the 21st century's most Kafka-esque problems: getting locked out of your account. Fucking change password. Change it! Produced by Jason Blum's Blumhouse Entertainment and heading to Netflix, Cam stars Madeline Brewer, The Handmaid's Tale, as a cam girl whose internet persona is hacked by an eerie doppelganger. As a newly released trailer shows, she performs nightly on her webcam for anonymous voyeurs, pushing the envelope further in order to climb the rankings, after taking it so far as to slit her own throat on camera, which is kind of a... I don't know. I don't really like, if I was watching a cam girl and they did that, I'd be like, well, I don't enjoy this shot anymore. But anyways, she is locked out of her account and discovers a woman with her exact face dancing on the other side of the screen for her fans. Personally, I thought she would have just been banned for pulling that shit, but Cam received rave reviews as it made the rounds in the top genre festivals this year, including Austin's Fantastic Fest and Montreal's Fantasia Film Festival. In his B-plus review out of Fantasia Festival, IndieWire's David Elric described Cam as a Lynchian horror movie and an eerie mindfuck about our online personas. So, yeah. It doesn't look bad, but it's still kind of weird. I mean, the trailer, I don't get enough context to understand, okay, why the fuck would she think a slit my own throat on cam trick is a really great way? I mean, I understand for shock value, but when you are an internet stripper, that's not exactly what you need in order to climb the rankings.
Decker knows this.
I just say, hey, we got mugs.
Yeah. I don't really know too much about, that kind of topic, but yeah, I did take a look at the trailer and it's very odd. I'll just say that. It's very odd.
Dr. Doom saying so she didn't die from a throat cut, and now in the trailer they make it clear that it was just a prank, bro.
Gotta get them views.
Satoshi Katsumoto says, so that's an overreaction. Well, I got locked out of my account. Kill self. No, it's like the fake kill self happens first, and then getting locked out of the account happens.
Yeah.
But it's weird, but in a sense, it's like it's psychological horror, so it's supposed to be weird.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, since we don't really know too much information on it, so I guess we can go on to the next thing. We have another trailer of a horror movie that will be coming out pretty soon.
Cat Luna's like, Becker, show us the credit card bills. So no,
please, no. All right, so we have another one. We have The Lighthouse, which is going to be starring...
I just want to say, like, earlier, I think, was it earlier today or was it yesterday? It couldn't have been any earlier than yesterday. Charlie was watching MXR video with MXR Plays, him and Jeannie there, and they're reacting to random posts from Reddit and such, as pretty much all YouTubers do these days.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one thing is like when they don't know who this famous singer is, and it's and Charlie was looking at the picture and she's like, I have no idea who the hell that is, and I'm like, oh, that's Mia Khalifa. and if you don't know who that is, then good. Because it's not a good thing to know who that is.
Sure. All right. Okay, so we have our next horror movie. This is The Lighthouse, and it's going to be starring Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, and it's going to be from writer-director Robert Eggers. Creepy, why don't you read this one?
Alrighty then. Not much is known about The Lighthouse, the upcoming film from The Witch director Robert Eggers. That's his last name. But the involvement of Eggers and actors Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe put it high on the list as one of the most anticipated indies of 2019. The film is backed by A24, shot on 35mm black and white film stock, and described as a fantasy horror set in the world of old seafaring myths. That's about all we know for now, although the actor...
This is the one that got away, I tell you.
Although the actors did let it slip, the film was rather torturous to make. Dafoe recently spoke with Patterson for Interview Magazine, and the two co-stars briefly reminisced about making The Lighthouse. Dafoe mentioned the conditions were so harsh on the movie set that the two actors hardly talked outside of scenes.
God damn it. Charlie McFarlane says, he is the Eggers man. He's got the master plan.
Oh, wow.
Little Sonic Adventure 2 reference there.
Let's hope that there's no more news regarding about the live-action Sonic.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's the horror movie right there.
Yeah.
Right. That is.
One scene forced Pattinson to get sprayed with water over and over to the point where it began to sting.
Ow.
Okay.
Yeah, that does hurt.
That's the closest I've come to punching a director, Pattinson said. However much I love Robert Eggers, there was a point where I did 5 takes walking across the beach, and after a while I was like, what the fuck is going on? I feel like you're just spraying a fire hose in my face. And he was like, I am spraying a fire hose in your face. It was like some kind of torture, Pattinson added. It definitely creates an interesting energy. Ha 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 ha. Pattinson said it was clear on set that Dafoe understood Eggers' script more than he did, so he decided he would try to approach the film on more of a physical level than a cerebral one. You clearly weren't into rehearsal, Dafoe told Pattinson. Maybe it was the nature of the role, but I always felt like you wanted to leap in and not work stuff out, as though it was more real to confront it without any pre-knowledge. I was reminded of the old Dustin Hoffman and Lawrence Oliver quote, "Go." Supposed to be a quote. Pattinson returned the compliment, saying, I must say that I've never seen someone with such a supernatural level of energy as you. There's that word again.
Oh, boy.
I remember you watching you and being like, how are you doing this? I'll take that as flattery, but I'll also return it by saying your approach was fierce. You were a warrior.
Yeah. Savage Tiger 13 says, how the ever-loving hell do you make a live-action Sonic movie? Trust me, we have talked about it many times over previous Live and Wired.
It seems apparent that whoever is in charge of actually attempting to also has no idea.
Nope. Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman.
Sonic the Hedgehog is a rebellious youth, and a police officer is there as his buddy.
Yup. Go look it up. All right. Continue, Creepy.
Alrighty. I lost. Okay. Here's your. Lighthouse is one of two A24 releases Pattinson has set for 2019. The other being Claire Denis's acclaimed science fiction movie High Life. Defoe can next be seen on the big screen as Vincent Van Gogh in At Eternity's Gate, opening November 16th from CBS Films. So basically, they're making a film version of Vincent and the Doctor.
Satoshi Katsumoto says a person suffering for the art. Hollywood might be learning its lesson. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's one of many announcements of upcoming horror movies, by the way.
And I think on the topic of how do you make a live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movie, Annabelle Lee says, with lots of acid.
Corey 2000 says, booze. Lots of booze.
That's how they made the Super Mario Brothers movie. We've covered that several times, too.
Yeah, and they could probably do the same thing with the Sonic movie.
It would not surprise me.
Nope, not even in the slightest. All right, let's go over to our next set of horror movie news. Let's see. Yeah, this is a good one. All right, so we discussed about... oh, hold on. My screen is frozen. There we go. Okay, so we discussed about over the years about remakes, about how nowadays...
Oh, God. Sorry, this comment from Ui Gui Gundra. First, it's the Mario movie being made by the worst movie companies in existence. Then it's a Shrek remake by the same fuckfaces. Now a live-action Sonic!
Yes. I know, scary, isn't it? We're living in the Twilight Zone where everything is being remade by the worst people ever.
Yes.
Oh.
Brandon Kilgore says they're doing a Home Alone reunion. Not only that, but did you know that we actually did discuss about this? But they're doing a version of they're basically making a parody of Home Alone as a stoner movie called Stoned Alone, and it's going to have Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did discuss about that a while ago.
And I remember because there was like a couple of different movies that you showed. One was was that one that I was going to cut? I'm wondering if that was the week that you weren't able to really make it, and I don't know if this one was one that kind of got swept under the rug, but there was one that was kind of said as Home Alone reimagined as horror.
Yes, I did send you that.
But I don't know if we actually discussed it on the show, because I remember I looked at the trailer. It looked interesting, but it didn't look like Home Alone, and I'm thinking, like, this isn't Home Alone. It wasn't based on Home Alone. It looks like an interesting story in and of itself, but it's not Home Alone.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just what people wrote for the article.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find, the name of it.
Whereas the Stoned Alone definitely is a...
Yeah, Stoned Alone is supposed to be like a parody of Home Alone, except it's in, like I said, it's basically just, a stoner movie. But, I have to probably go all the way back into, like, the the articles that I keep sending you in terms of like what was the name of that horror movie themed Home Alone movie that they wanted to do, but beside that. Okay, so horror movie remakes. There's another one that was announced recently. This one is a movie called Night of the Comic, an apocalyptic zombie horror movie, and it's going to be rewritten by Roxanne Benjamin. So essentially it is a 1984 horror movie. And it was written and directed by Tom Eberhardt and starred Catherine Mary Stewart and Kelly Maroney as they were facing off against cannibal zombies after a comet wipes out most of the lives on Earth.
And I did not look at the trailer, but I was looking at the comments to this article, and the thing that jumped out at me and said, I should probably check this out, is where someone was saying that this plus the Night of the Comet plus Killer Clowns from Outer Space makes the best movie night. The best double feature.
Sure. Cat Lunacia says, name another zombie that isn't a cannibal. That's a good question.
Yeah, white zombie.
Sure. Yeah, there you go. White zombie.
That was back before zombies were undead.
There you go. They were essentially almost vampires.
No.
Not really.
They were just they were mindless / controlled. It was a whole zombie thing way before zombies were undead flesh eaters.
Sure.
They were just kind of people who were completely under someone's spell, and they didn't have their own will. They just mindlessly did what they were tasked to do.
Enes215 says Rob Zombie.
No, he is a cannibal.
Okay. Michael Wolf says Bub from Day of the Dead. Okay. Let's see. So continuing on with our article. So let's see. So Roxanne Benjamin previously directed segments of the anthology film Southbound and XX or Double X. She also wrote and directed and produced her feature debut, Body at Brighton Rock, which is currently in post-production and is set to be released by Magnolia Pictures next year. If you want to see the trailer for the original Night of the Comet, then you can check it out up here. Okay. But yeah, they haven't seen that. We don't have a trailer for the new one just yet.
Annabelle Lee says vegan zombies.
Vegan zombies. That sounds like an oxymoron.
I just imagine just everyone going arms outstretched and they'll look outside. Oh my God, they're eating all the crops. What do we do? Oh, Jesus.
Let's see. Corey 2000 says Bunnicula has vampire and or zombie veggies, didn't it? Sure. Although I would categorize Bunnicula as a vampire, not a zombie, but whatever.
Crystal Wing 2149 has an interesting point. It says the Left 4 Dead zombies don't eat people; they just kill them.
Yeah. Oh, Savage Tiger 13 says grains. That's you win, Savage Tiger 13. You win.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, let's see. Okay, so we have some. Let's switch over from horror to sci-fi. Let's discuss about a little bit of sci-fi movies that are going to be coming out. So we have another trailer for an upcoming sci-fi film, which involves aliens and John Goodman. And no, I'm not talking about Cloverfield. We're talking about a new movie called Captive State. Captive State has John Goodman in an alien invasion. A new trailer for the mysterious sci-fi thriller Captive State, starring John Goodman and Vera Farmiga, has arrived online. A trailer was also released last month, but so far it looks like the studio really wants to keep this movie largely under wraps until it's released. There are some strange vibes going on here, and based on the latest tease, it looks like they've thrown in a Cloverfield movie and an entry in the Purge franchise in a blender. Done the right way, and it could be very entertaining.
There's a right way to do that?
Apparently. Ugh. The trailer starts pointing out about how strong and well-off America is, with a mysterious voice disputing the faculty of these claims. We then see a bunch of Factuality, I'm sorry. We then see a bunch of quick cuts of disastrous events breaking out, seemingly at the behest of a mysterious unidentified force. The unknown presence notes, the phoenix will rise. We're guessing that mysterious force has something to do with the aliens that invaded Earth, but mostly the trailer seems to be guarding the movie's secrets, and it doesn't lay out the plot in a terribly succinct manner. Succinct. I can't read today. We do get a cool Cloverfield-style shaky cam money shot of a big alien creature at the end, though. As far as the official plot goes, the movie is set in a Chicago neighborhood, roughly a decade after an occupation from alien beings. The movie is set to explore the lives on both sides of the conflict, looking at those who choose to collaborate and those who are choosing to rebel. That's pretty vague, and it seems in line with the trailer. Not to say that this will be as interesting as a J.J. Abrams-style mystery box sci-fi flick, but it certainly seems to be gunning for that same vibe. This comes from filmmaker Rupert Wyatt, who serves as both the writer and a director. Wyatt previously helmed Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which kickstarted one of the most beloved trilogies of the modern era. Though Matt Reeves, who coincidentally directed Cloverfield, directed the second two movies. The last feature Wyatt directed was 2014's The Gambler, which wasn't particularly well received, nor was it hit by any stretch. This may explain why it's taken him 5 years to get another movie going. However, he did direct the pilot for Turn Washington Spies and an episode of the Exorcist TV series. But he appears to be out of the director's jail, and he's set to direct episodes of the upcoming Halo TV series, as well as a movie called Storm King, which is listed as being in pre-production. The cast includes John Goodman, who happens to co-star in 10 Cloverfield Lane, as well as Ashton Sanders, Jonathan Majors, Colson Baker, and Vera Farmiga. The movie is set to hit theaters on March 29th, 2019. In addition to the new trailer, the studio has released a new poster as well. Be sure to check out the new Captive State trailer from the Focus Feature YouTube channel below. And there it is. So if you're interested in checking that out, then you can do so.
And Ray J says also that Fallout 76 ad.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, and also imagine the Addams Family in a zombie apocalypse. I just imagine Morticia having tea.
Like the whole cities are burning around her and she's still out of a live and wired mug.
Yes. And she's probably saying, Gomez, please invite our new guests over. And then the zombies are just walking like, oh, you must be relatives of Lurch. How lovely. Please come on in.
This is Gomez is fencing them all.
Gomez would be having a blast.
Oh, yeah. Him and Uncle Fester would be, like, doing some sort of crazy shenanigans.
He would be fencing them while Uncle Fester threw dynamite.
And juggling knives.
And juggling knives.
Corey 2000 says, imagine a necromancer in a zombie apocalypse. And I don't have to imagine because they do that in Diablo, and I know exactly what's going to happen. See, the necromancer knows about the balance. Everything that lives must die. So to combat these people coming back from the dead, the necromancer is going to bring people back from the dead to kill the other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's perfect logic.
Sure. All right. Well, let's see if I have anything other sci-fi related. Yes, I do. So I'm sure that you guys have heard about that. There have been some sequels being announced regarding about 2009's James Cameron's Avatar. You know, the one movie that James Cameron did that pretty much has been criticized over the years. But now, because, you know, everybody demanded it so much, we're getting not only 4 more sequels, but the sequels have been named and they have apparently alleged titles, and everybody is just really angry about them. So let's see, just skipping away to, like, you know, all the details. Apparently the next films that are going to be coming out are Avatar: The Way of Water, Avatar: The Seed Bearer, Avatar: The Tolkien Writer, and Avatar: The Quest for Awa. And everybody has pretty much criticized every single one of them, especially The Seed Bearer. Apparently, yeah. In fact, so much so that there are so many articles about it. From AW's "These alleged Avatar sequel titles are fucking embarrassing" to Vice's "These alleged Avatar sequels are awful, so here are 50 better ideas." So yeah, Way of the Water will be opening up.
I mean, instead of the Seed Bearer, couldn't they have Avatar, the sack of nuts?
But it has to be more artistic, Decker.
Mm.
So yeah, let's be honest. Did anybody ask for an Avatar sequel, let alone 4?
Well, when it came out, yes.
Sure. And I know James Cameron's argument that, oh, you know, he wanted to wait 10 more years for the technology to get better, which is why the first Avatar movie took so long.
Well, maybe he could have reordered it so that he wouldn't have the big watery one immediately after the first one. Just to save the water for when you can do it.
Yeah. Kat Luciana says, who remembers the characters? Which is actually interesting because here's a tweet from Vulture. 19 more titles for more Avatar sequels. Avatar: The Return of What's His Name and Who's Her Face. And here's another few of them from Beckett Muffson. Avatar and the Hunt for a Better Metaphor for Colonialism. Wet Hot American Avatar. Avatar versus Predator.
Oh, God damn it. Are they fans of Live and Wired?
Yes, I think they are. Avatar, not another movie as good as The Ride. No, another movie not as good as The Ride. And finally, Avatar 2, European Gigolo.
Avatar, 30% more pretty.
Okay, Crystal Wing 2449 says, Avatar, who really cares anymore?
Savage Tiger 13 says, could have been worse. The sea bearer, the earth mover, the air summoner, the fire thrower.
I heard the thing about water, and I was like, oh, the Avatar Last Airbender fan base is going to just strangle him for that one.
Yeah, that's true.
Charlie McFarlane says, Avatar, unobtainium is still a stupid name.
Let's see. We have Ray Jace who says Avatar more deep blue. Satoshi Katsumoto says Avatar. No, not the cartoon. Forget it.
Patrick Johnson's like Avatar, the quest for originality.
Dark Foo 456 says Avatar, blue alien orgies.
The Nestine 100 says Avatar, not the bald kid, but the blue aliens. Damn it.
Nerdbane says, remember when Sin City and 300 made sequels many years after when they were relevant? Yeah, I remember. I didn't see either of those sequels, coincidentally enough, but I know they have them. Like,
yeah.
What's the other one called? 301 or 300 something?
302 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying, Nerdbane, that, if done right, a sequel that takes place many years later can be done well. I mean, from Alien to Aliens, from Terminator to Terminator 2. James Cameron has done it before. But we don't know for sure if, the second Avatar is going to be, the one that people are going to be, really excited about watching, especially since the first one was just kind of predictable. I think that's why a lot of people seem to dismiss it altogether. It's like Fern Gully, Pocahontas, pretty much any, movie that's kind of hints at colonialism and taking stuff from the people as bad and driving their homes away. I mean, it would have been good if it had an interesting story. But to be fair,
they did a good job building the setting.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think my co-host Aaron Meta from the Aaron Meta Show, when we were discussing about The Good Dinosaur and Pixmix, that was the Pixar podcast that we did. He talked about The Good Dinosaur. We talked about The Good Dinosaur, and The Good Dinosaur had beautiful animation and graphics, and the lighting was gorgeous, and the water was realistic looking, but the story was so predictable and dull. And, he basically called it a tech demo, that it was essentially a tech demo of what Pixar could do. And, a lot of people have called Avatar that, a tech demo. It was revolutionizing and, bringing 3D back into theaters and, putting you into this beautiful world with all these creatures and these plants and, the spirit of Awa. And it looked great. I personally saw it in 3D myself and I was blown away with it. But I think that, the legacy of Avatar has to be a lot more than just looking pretty in 3D.
Right. I remember what, people, when it came out, everyone I knew was saying, go see Avatar. You have to see Avatar. It's the best movie ever. And I was like, eh. And what it always came back to, it's pretty to look at. But no one really ever talked about the plot much. In fact, I had to go to a Wikipedia page. I had to go to the Wikipedia page to find out what this was even about, because the only thing really anyone talked about was how gorgeous it was. And I read this webcomic called Were Geeks. I still do. But they had one of their updates back when Avatar was still the big thing. It had an update where they said, explain the plot of Avatar as Steven Spielberg's take on Smurfette's origin story from the Smurfs. Basically, bad guys create evil Smurf, send it into the woods to find Smurf Village, and then come back, report, so they can go in and destroy Smurf Village. Avatar. Bad guys create Alien, send him into the woods, have him find Alien Village, come back, report, so they can go in and destroy Alien Village. Basically, they said Avatar was really pretty slash Smurf fanfiction.
Yep.
Patricia, okay.
I've never heard of that, actually.
And I thought
I
about
would
it.
never think about that. Hey, let's make a let's make Avatar comparing to Smurfs. I have never thought of that. Literally,
Yeah.
it would have been so obvious, but I literally have not thought of that.
I heard that and I was like, I read that years ago and I was like, yeah.
Sure. Corey 2000 says, "Forget Avatar, make a Denver the Last Dinosaur movie." Don't tempt fate because they already rebooted Denver the Last Dinosaurs a few months ago.
We're getting close to the 3-hour mark.
Yeah, that's true. So let's cover one more article because I know that things are. Oh wait, I need to get out of screen sharing because, of course, I do. There we go. Let me just bring up.
You will
one
share your screen forever. I will see what you are doing.
I know. Okay, so sadly, and I know I have to do this because it's part of Live and Wired, but we need to cover a YouTube news.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we have a few bits of YouTube news, but which one to cover for our last article of the evening? You know what? I think that this would be interesting. So let's talk about this article right here. Maybe if we have enough time, maybe we'll talk about the other one. So the question that is brought up is YouTube becoming more corporate?
I was hoping to do this one.
Yeah. Is YouTube becoming more corporate? PewDiePie predicts the future of the platform. The current king of YouTube, Felix PewDiePie, I can't read. I'm sorry. Kjelberg, sure, is in a race against Bollywood label T-Series for the most subscribers on the platform, which I believe that we did cover. But this race could be the beginning of what Pewds calls a depressing new trend.
This is so sad.
Yeah, we did discuss about a while ago about how PewDiePie is apparently making more money as a hat salesman than as a YouTuber. PewDiePie remarked that YouTube could be heading in a more corporate direction during a reaction video that he posted on November 9th, taking notes from many YouTube channels with an increasingly corporate ties or hired actors. Logically speaking, it's going to become more and more corporate, he said of the matter. There are so many giant companies trying to keep up with YouTube, and if they want to stay in business, they're obligated to do something. He also mentioned a previous trends on the website claiming that early YouTube saw major corporate channels before creators stepped in and took over. When he started off there were more companies big on YouTube, but creators kind of took over. He continued, I wonder if the same sort of trend will apply to India now. I wonder if I can get rid of this ad.
As in, while T-Series is a huge corporate channel from India, wonder if there's going to be individual, just not connected to any company, just an individual independent creator from India who becomes larger than T-Series.
Right. Other YouTubers in the YouTube React video that PewDiePie used in his segment stated that more and more of YouTube's trending videos are being published by major companies such as Netflix or late-night shows. Even some of the top channels on the platform are run by representatives of pop stars like Justin Bieber, who currently sits at 3rd place in the runnings. The YouTubers also called for I'm going to pause this, if I can find the pause button. I cannot. The YouTubers also called for a separation of categories between independent creators and bigger corporations, to which PewDiePie heartily agreed. However, even if T-Series manages to surpass PewDiePie, he will still remain the platform's largest single creator, a spot that he is successfully holding against his Bollywood nemesis thus far.
I say, well, a separation between the categories of a corporate entity versus an independent creator might sound kind of attractive on paper. You know exactly what Google would do with that. They would make it so that the companies are the default view, and the independent creators, you're going to have to click through like 3 or 4 pages to reach that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. All right, let me cover one more article. This is pretty important considering of all of everything that's been going on recently on YouTube. So, okay, this is
And
an article.
Charlie McFarlane says, to be fair, YouTube won't be so corporate if YouTube didn't hate its content producers.
Fair enough. All right, so this is one from Wired. Welcome to the age of the hour-long YouTube video. Let's see. 1 month. Okay, 1 month ago, a dog I have never met has died. His owners are YouTubers Simon and Martina, a Canadian couple who make videos about the delicious food they eat in Tokyo, where they live. After their extremely old, extremely beloved dog Spudgy passed away, they took to YouTube to drink and cry and talk about the best moments of their little dog's life. The messy, raw video into the world was so arresting. By the time I started wondering why exactly I was sniffling over an internet dog, I was over 1 hour into the video. I wasn't alone. The 75-minute video drew an audience of 300,000 people, all willing to give up an hour and 15 minutes of their lives for a rambling pet eulogy. My viewing habits, while admittedly eccentric, are actually what YouTubers want them to be. They want them to be long videos that last anywhere between 15 minutes and 2 hours, have become not only common but successful on the platform.
Okay, that's it. I'm live streaming every minute of every day. I just got a water flosser. We're going to see how it works every morning and night.
Yes.
I'm going to start a water flossing channel.
House. You need to help. I need you to hold my camera steady.
Okay. Patricia?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll continue on the article. This might seem counterintuitive. Not so long ago, YouTube videos resembled long-form vines more than anything, approaching a 22-minute sitcom. But as more people watch videos via mobile, the lines between highly produced television show and a rough YouTube vlog have blurred. These days, smartphone users spend a whopping 54% of their video viewing time on videos over 20 minutes long. That's up from just 29% at the beginning of 2016. YouTube's push for more money is leading its creators in a pivot from the industry-established norms. The result has been a reinvention of what a YouTube video looks like, a shift that may well be the future of video entertainment. Oh God, that's my own face. Okay.
Sorry, I'm back.
But there's a risk in letting notoriously fickle advertising money control your creative strategy. These hour-long videos are here today. By next week, they could be banished to the wastelands of unmonetizable content. Also,
Yeah.
Savage Tiger 13 dropped $20 saying, since you're almost done, I better go ahead and give my support. And if you want to see something both funny and horrible, watch Jack Frost 2, Revenge of the Killer Snowman. It's life-changing horrible.
Yeah.
Well,
But yeah, the article's pretty long, but you essentially get the point that apparently, many years ago, personally for me, that when I joined up with my YouTube partnership, I was told to make, short videos, like maybe up to 12 to 15 minutes long, because people's attention spans, they tend to like quick videos so that they can be able to move on with their day. But apparently it's been the reverse now, where people are watching 1 hour to 2 hour long videos about anything, and it seems to get a ton of views.
it's kind of weird because it's like the attention span thing hasn't changed.
No.
But the thing is, when you have videos, the main thing, I mean, they showed a picture of Jenna Marbles there, and Jenna Marbles has made longer videos than they used to, but nothing huge. They mention in the article Shane Dawson, and Shane Dawson is a big one to note because he generally has, a 20, 30-minute video. But his long series thing on Jake Paul is pushing 40, 45 minutes every single piece up until part 8. The finale was over an hour and a half.
Yeah. No, to be fair, I say this as a hypocrite because I did an analysis video about Disney's Doug really that bad, and that was an hour long. But here's the thing. I was covering an entire animated series that was 65 episodes long, and I also covered the movie. So I had a reason on why I had to spend that long covering it, because I was talking about both the positives and the negatives of it.
Charlie McFarlane dropped $20 saying just to show my support and for mentioning me so many times on this stream. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
But yeah, it's like I have sometimes I've uploaded longer videos, but it's not that I'm thinking, okay, I need to have more length. But it's like when you're a larger YouTuber and you upload a longer video, a good amount of your subscribers will watch the longer video, which will increase your total watch time, which improves your metrics on YouTube. It's a thing that happens, but not everyone's going to do that. Not everyone's going to be interested in a long video. Like, I get a good view time on Live and Wired. We tend to go for 2-3 hours. Now we've already broken the 3-hour mark.
Yeah.
But
we do it because there's a lot of news to cover.
But yeah, but also it's like it's a thing where I'll get like maybe 4,000 views on the Live and Wired, whereas a normal show will go for about 30 minutes, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets considerably more clicks. And the average length of views, once you get past the initial boost, where no matter which one it is, the subscribers who watch at first will watch it longer than most people. Once you get past that, people are watching about the same amount. So having something that people will just be interested in clicking on and watching through, that's the most important thing. So for a smaller channel, for a medium-sized channel, making a really long video isn't really going to help. For someone like Shane, making a giantly long video will get a lot of his subscribers, which he has tens of millions, to watch a hell of a lot, which will improve his watch time so drastically, his stuff's going to get put on search engines and in trending a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have higher in search and such as that.
Sure. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. I don't think we really have too much to say in the matter, unless you have any final words to say regarding about this topic.
Not really. It's
Nah.
YouTube. They're keeping secrets and saying, no, we're an open book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so Decker, why don't you give us our little outro?
All right. Okay. So what it is we are all working on individually. I myself, my gaming channel has been kind of on the back burner. This whole week has been a big, but either way, got Fallout 76, played a little bit of that, and hope to continue that on the gaming channel whenever I get a chance to actually fire up the gaming channel. I was going to try to actually stream this to the Twitch and Mixer, but I couldn't get the Google Hangouts window to actually work in OBS, so it just kept showing up black. So I'm like, oh, great. I could have done it as a podcast, I guess, but I didn't have an image. But either way, the next review I've got coming, I've been working on the script for that. It should have been done by now, like not just the script, but the entire damn thing. But yeah, fiance got her teeth work done. I've got a lot of things going around with just driving all over the place, doing all kinds of things. It's been a lot of fun. But hey, I've got a lot of practice driving. Yay. So, Creepy, what are you working on?
Patricia first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Recently, I posted up a video called my top 10 Voices Told by Ginger episodes. I had Creepy over as a guest of my podcast. We were discussing about Hocus Pocus in honor of its 25th anniversary.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And we have Dream Machine, which is the DreamWorks podcast I did after Pixmix was over, when we discussed about The Incredibles 2. But right now, as of tomorrow, we're going to be uploading the episode of Dream Machine where we're going to be discussing about Chicken Run in honor of Remembrance Day, or Veterans Day if you're from America. But yeah, that should be a lot of fun. And as for upcoming stuff, let's see. I'm working on a video discussing about Suburgatory, and I'm doing a very special episode of my podcast where I have a few special guests coming over. So yeah, stay tuned.
Excellent.
Oh, God. Just real quick in the chat, Annabelle Lee was like, I need a smoke. And then right after, Ray J says, just need to follow the damn train, CJ.
I am going back to, like as many people have asked me, Batman retrospective is coming back, and so is the X-Men retrospective. So look forward to that. I do have a new Midnight Wing Theater movie review in the works, so there's that as well. So more or less, it's for now going back to standard. But in December, we're going to be celebrating the 25th anniversary of something.
Cool.
So stay tuned.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay, so Randall Flag says, folks, your videos are so long because you engage the people in your chat, your fans. That's how you get more fans. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's also a very good point to make. But yeah, this has been Live and Wired episode 24. Don't you have phones? I've been Decker Shado.
I've been that long-haired creepy guy.
And I've been Patricia Miranda.
And remember, you can get your own Live and Wired mug right now over on Twitch, where this wasn't broadcast. And you can fill it with anything, but not as much rum as I did, because that's not a good idea. Just don't.
One more thing. Don't you have phones?
Good night, everybody.